Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to you. Happy holidays. It is Super Old Game Saturday, the weekly show I put on every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for classic gaming goodness. Yeah, don't mind that weird transition. We're running Sega Saturn tonight for the special Christmas Day show, the last of 2021. We have Christmas Nights Into Dreams, released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn for Sonic Team. And I'm not alone tonight. I want to introduce you to some people who have actually been in the chat for some of the games we've played this past year, this wonderful year we've had. Had a lot of great shows to this, but yeah, tonight I'm glad to have Dolly Finn on the show, as well as Montague K. Welcome to the both of you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Welcome. Great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you've both been in the chat, and a lot of the games you played, Montague K., I remember you kind of drove Shinobi 3 when we did that one. Hi, Alec first. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you. Glad to see you tonight. I have Dolly Finn and Montague K. who've been in the chat before. Dolly Finn, as I was mentioning, Montague K. was for Shinobi 3 heavily, and Dolly Finn drove us through Luigi's Mansion. They are here tonight, and hope you're having a wonderful holiday. It's great to see you as we take a run-through of Christmas Nights for the Sega Saturn. Merry Christmas. Yeah, we all wish that to you as well. You, your family, your friends, everybody. Yeah, we're playing the Japanese version of this game, by the way. And it's interesting, because I played this game last year in the HD edition on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It was also ported on the PS2, from what I have understood. Yeah, we got the Sega Saturn version, which has all the extra content that was not in those other editions. And I can't think of a better game, and let me know, like for anybody else in the chat as well, what you associate as far as Christmas for gaming, and I guess other games for Christmas. Really, there aren't a whole lot in my case. I can only think of a couple off the top of my head, really, and you kind of have to dig, honestly, into like ancient days of like Atari and things like that for that, but Sega gave us this one, and it is quite a time.
Maybe it's the games that you remember playing at Christmas.
That's true, too. I mean, because, well, that's the idea. As far as gaming is concerned, a lot of cases, like, hey, you'll get gifts from friends, family, whoever, as far as gaming or whatever it might be. That have association.
Christmas graphics coming up on this.
Yeah, the opening cutscene, which, by the way, it is in Japanese. That's the only thing it has different than the US version, which is a little more money. This is like $20 for the Japanese version, and I have a way to play Japanese imports on my Saturn, so we're running it that way. To give an explanation of the story then, yeah, that is Clarice Sinclair and Elliot Edwards. They're two young children who, in Nights, the normal game, and we'll do that game eventually for sure, they have dreams. His case, he wants to be a basketball star. She wants to be a musician, a vocalist specifically. They are really kind of nervous about how that's working, and they have the help of Knights here on the screen, who are definitely going to be helping out with that. And in that game, like, they were dealing with their situations they had for that. In this game, it's Christmas. It's a sequel to that game. Hi, Nocturne. How you doing? Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you, and hope you're doing well, having a happy holiday. Good to see you tonight for Christmas Nights on the Sega Saturn, and you can see that right there with the internal clock. This game does run on the internal clock of the Sega Saturn, and my watch batteries in the back of that thing are running fine while it's actually loading the demo, I believe. But I'm going to skip that when it comes on. Good to see you. Glad to have you on the program tonight, and feel free to let us know any memories or interests or anything, comments you have on anything you're seeing on the screen of the Christmas game. I can't think of a better game to be doing for Christmas as far as theme, but to go back to what my guests, because I have Dolly Finn and Montague K with me tonight. Thanks. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, we all send our best wishes, I think. Is that right to say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's definitely this is definitely an interesting case. As I said we'd have more guest appearances on this program. I promised that. I said I'm a man of my word with that last week, or everything as it is for the show. Yeah, this is going to be the start of that, as we're seeing how the Christmas Nights take is going to be. And as I mentioned, not many specific Christmas games I can think really off the top of my head. The game based on The Grinch, the 2000 movie that was on Dreamcast and PS1 from Konami, as well as Toy Shop Trouble, which is it's a game on the Atari 2600 that I think was it was a homebrew, I believe. That was supposed to be really great. And I guess I was showing you guys earlier this today, the Merry code for Donkey Kong Country 3. Put that in, you have Christmas ornaments and presents in the bonus stage. But yeah, with that, we're going to get to the game. Yeah, as I said, we're going to show the game off, and we are running it on Saturn with the Japanese version, where it's mostly the same, except for the opening, which is going to, fine, I'm kind of going like a mile a minute with this one, but yeah, we're in Twin Siege City, by the way. We had the opening, so I'm skipping it here, but it's all shown early. Yeah, Twin Siege City, we have Elliot and Clarice, who after dealing with the stuff they had to go through with Knights, the regular game, they're seeing it's Christmas. People are trying to figure out, well, what's the real meaning of Christmas, and they're kind of not paying attention to that so much. So the idea is that that tower we saw in Twin Siege, There's supposed to be a star on top of it. There's no star. We gotta take care of that. And yeah, I have my completed save, Sogs, with the exclamation mark. Going back to the Pokemon Snap stream we did earlier this year. We have had a wonderful year, by the way, on this show, and thank you very much for all showing up in the chat for the game purpose of this, because I've had a great year with this show, and you all made this show really made me figure out what do I want to do with it, and yeah, I'm kind of just at a loss for words. If any of my guests want to take on for me, feel free.
Yeah, it's been a great year with all the games. We enjoy them on Saturday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it is a different kind of show, as I mentioned. Just the idea of like kind of relaxing at the end of a long week, end of a long year, feasibly. You come here, you relax, and yeah, I want to make it so that you're as active on the show as I am. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We have the Christmas theme, we're going to start with that, and we have all the Christmas presents. I had to go through the unlock process of that, and I'll explain that, as well as the options, which, not really too much to go in the options right now. Let's start the Christmas dreams off, like I said last year. All right, so we have Claris and Elliot. We have to play through each of their stages. We'll start with Claris. She wants to be a singer, but yeah, we were taking her back to Spring Valley, which you saw in the original Knights game. I did take a little bit of a look at the HD edition, but we'll come back to the Saturn version for sure. As we're going down into Spring Valley at the Ideal. And look at this. Oh my, as I said last year, oh wow. Just look at this, because I had never touched it until last year. Alright, so the Nightmarins are taking away my idea orb, so what I gotta do is I gotta walk into the cake and have Knights. Androgynous character until Knight's Journey to Dreams on the Wii, where they turned Knights into female, and people were not happy about that. But anyway, Knights is here, you're going around, collecting all the orbs that you need, taking them to the Christmas tree. So instead of, busting out the Nightmarin thing, we have to put them into the tree. Put 20 in there, you start bonus time, and we are going to show that as you go along. And I am using the 3D control pad, as I mentioned last year when we played this. Man, it is deliciously wonderful to play with this controller. You're seeing...
It's a great controller.
It's great in terms of how it looks, and I have the Japanese one, which I showed when we did Sonic 3D Blast a couple months ago. But yeah, for this, it just, as I mentioned last year, it's not like any other analog control I can really think, honestly. Yeah, I'm trying to do the loop around him, because when you do that, you catch him in there and get more points. But alright, fine, I've wasted enough time to start bonus time. Now, I can go to the end and get to that cake to go to the next section, but I'm going to maximize my score a bit, and that's how you want to go for the purpose of ranks. We'll also go into that with regular Knights when we do that more, but yeah, this plays pretty much the same. So, yeah, you were going to say something?
What is Knights meant to be? Is it an elf?
I believe that Knights is... There's quite a backstory to what this game really is, and I think the idea is that when Elliot and Claris go into their dreams, they have these... In the regular Knights game, they have a lot of, nervous cases, like them fearing they're going to fail, and the Nightmarins are kind of getting in their way, as led by Riala, who we'll see a little later. And with Knights, Knights is, I guess, this jester, I think is the idea of what Knights is supposed to be, and kind of helping them work through this, because, we took Claris in there, and we basically had Knights, and we're flying around, doing all these loops, going through, getting the links up, because you get the links up, you get a lot of points that way. So I think that's kind of the idea, and also, I'm on a time limit, so I have to make sure I get back there before I hit 0, otherwise I get an instant F, and you hit the A button or the C button, do this rainbow, or the drill dash, I believe it's called. Or if it's not called that, I'll correct it. But alright, hit that, 3, there you go. Do that, yeah, I got an A.
Right.
You definitely want to do that as you go along for it, and it's not easy. That's where this game gets a little hard because of the fact that, hey, it's going to challenge you with some stuff without that, and also some of the Marins are getting in the way to cause you trouble and take time off the clock if they hit you. Just keep going along and seeing all the Christmas-themed things, which are taking off of the original Knights thing. Actually, at the end of the show tonight, we are going to show off how regular Knights works, because I'm going to go into the menu. I'm going to change the setting to April Fool's Day, and there's going to be a very specific reason to do that. But it'll show how Knights original works. Yeah, there is a Knightopian trying to capture him, and you can capture him and put him in eggs. And I'll show off the Knightopian collection as well. You can go along and just enjoy the wonderful atmosphere of this, the wonderful music from, who have my notes down here. Okay, the game was designed by Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima, who made Sonic the Hedgehog, actually.
Ah.
As far as the music is concerned, it was, and I know I have it written down on my thing here, it's Tomoko Sasaki, who we heard a couple weeks ago when we did Rystar for Sega Genesis, as well as Naofumi Hataya, who we heard actually when we did Sonic Heroes. So yeah, it's all in line. We've actually had a lot of Sonic team representation this month. But yeah, we are taking the year out very nicely with this one, and yeah, I'm just having a great time doing this, and hopefully you all are watching, and anything you got about this game, any insights, let me know what they are. Also, I'm going to keep an eye on, as I mentioned to you guys off camera, Santa Claus. He appears when on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day when you have the clock set. You're all set. Doesn't include Sonic. Yes, it does. It includes Sonic the Hedgehog Into Dreams. I unlocked it. We will show it. which is actually, like as you mentioned this when we did Sonic 3D Blast Saturn a couple months ago, which is that the first 3D Sonic game technically. I mean, if you want to look at as far as like the traditional like Sonic platformer, it would be Sonic Adventure, but as you mentioned, Sonic R on Saturn had 3D in 1987. 1987, a little before that, was Sonic Jam with Sonic Worlds mode. And then before that, we had this, which you do run around as Sonic, and we will show that. Yeah, I plan to show off everything about this, because that's the other thing also about the Sonic stuff, is that, well, the Sonic Into Dreams and also some of the other stuff was not included when they ported this into other stuff. Also, you have this ring. Go on this, you do combos. You have a little bit of a piece of music that goes, but not when you're in music mode or in Christmas mode. Yeah, you do a middle loop, all these things. But by the time you get nice 1, they give you a number based upon that, so sometimes say, like, wonderful 4 or something. I know there's an achievement when you go into the HD edition that says, like, get a 9 chan. That is really hard to do that. I've not done it. You grab onto the Nightmarians and flip them in there, and you can put in your icons to get the bank going on until you get 20.
Wow.
Yeah, it does look beautiful.
It looks beautiful, very festive, doesn't it?
Festive, beautiful as far as like the colors, as I mentioned, also a nice 3 as well. Also, as I mentioned, again off camera, but I'll put it this way too, is that, I mean, the thing with this game is that this is showing 3D, despite the fact that I'm playing. I'm moving left and right and I guess rotating. But the Saturn, as I mentioned a couple times on the show as well, was not necessarily intended as a 3D machine so much. Oh, there's another icon. You sometimes get those from Nightmarians. Yeah, he's following me around here. And I'm gonna get more points doing that.
You know, it looks like a Harlequin to me. That
yeah, a little.
Right? And they said from the Commedia Dell'arte, right? A combination of humor and sadness, romance and entertainment.
Yeah, we're classing the show up, as I mentioned. We've done that on the show as well. It's like, hey, we'll get into the guts of gaming on this program, talk about things like how many discussions of nights, Christmas nights, I'm going to get into that. So thank you very much, Dolly Finn, for bringing that up. And as I said, bringing it up, I guess, a perspective on something that I was not necessarily thinking of. Like, that's the whole point, I think, of what this is all about, and all of you in the chat as well. All right, we're running down on time. Let's get that. All right, I gotta see. Not so hot, but I mean, right now the rankings are not really that important. And actually, for this game, compared to Night's Normal, not really too much either. All right, there you go. I did do a link to that to capture them into my circle there. Go along.
What do you have to do to get an A?
To get an A, you basically have to have high points. So basically, the goal really to that is you want to take your, you want to get 20 of those icons there, get to the tree in this case as quickly as you can, put them in and get bonus time going, to get bonus points off of it, and just keep collecting and go around in loops. Christmas Nights is adorable. Yes, it is, as far as, look at it, and as we mentioned, it's like, the perspective of this being designed by Sonic Team. As I mentioned, we did play Nights, or no, we played a little bit of that last year, but also with Ride Star a couple weeks ago, and the other Sonic stuff. They were definitely tapping into something very unique as far as, like, the look, as far as, like, the child wonder. I guess it's also, fitting we have to, pause looking back on this year. Remember that Balan Wonderworld came up this year, which was the game that they developed for Square Enix, who published it, which was actually kind of echoing back to this, but it was something totally different. That got people really, really excited, but unlike this, it had a lot of perspectives of the gameplay being very shallow with some aspects, and being a big disappointment, and on Switch being a train wreck as far as it technologically speaking. I have an Xbox One when we play it, so it'll be better, quote-unquote, but I mean, it goes to the perspective, like, just how seriously people take this game. Just how much... You talk to people who play Saturn, they will never stop gushing about this game, and rightly so, because in some ways... Here's the other thing. Sometimes we'll talk about this on the show. Games that might be like other games, you can make that comparison. I can't think of too many games that are quite like this one. Even ones I could make sort of a comparison. And that's a proverbial dream catcher, and that is true, because, yeah, I mean... Elliot and Claris have their dreams. He's helping them and also taking care of stuff going on. Already, we're at 4th area. You have 4 areas to that, and they give you an overall rank of those. There's a B. We got a boss.
All right. It doesn't look like
I
a
can see
Harlequin.
the Harlequin.
Absolutely, with the color, especially more with the Christmas Nights case, because Nights is in the red and the white. All right, we have Gill Wing, who is a boss in the normal Nights game, and I'll show that when we do the other thing. What you do with him is you rotate around him, hit him on the chin. If you hit his spiky tail or anything else that spikes on him, you'll go, "What dude?" and you'll lose time. And if you run out of time, it's game over. You have to start the area over, but we should be fine. I did do practice on this because I had to do unlocks on stuff. I think we'll be fine. Also, you hit the left and right trigger. You do kind of like flip stunts as far as things, which also kind of look cool. I'm also doing that drill dash thing that's running on that meter on the lower left-hand corner of the screen.
He's very persistent. How many times have you got to hit him?
A lot, but they're actually... Here's the thing. The other thing you can do is, as I mentioned, when you do that loop thing like that, you can capture the enemy in it. I can try this now. There's an achievement in the HD version where you get him in this, go over him, and capture him in your beam like that. Ooh. You can kill him in one hit.
Oh.
You have to do it very specifically. Alright, there we go.
Well, was he getting away from you there, if you had not stopped him?
He basically would control the nightmare, I'd be stuck in it, and that would be a game over. I'd have to start the world I did again. But we're doing that, he'll live, we're gonna see him again. You know, this wonderful music, as mentioned. This Dreamcatcher. Yeah, overall B. They do give your overall B based upon the 4 sections you do on the stage, as well as the boss. And then there's the scores I have. Yeah, all of them there. Like, my highest score is 123,220.
Great.
Well as other stuff. And they also show what the ranks are. We're also hearing some aspects of the music, which I'll get into this now, because they'll pull off of this in just a second. But, yeah, this is Dreams, which is performed by Curtis King Jr. and Dana Calitri. And this is interesting. I mentioned sometimes when it comes to, like, the Sonic Adventure stuff we did, when we did that a few months ago, that there's a lot of famous people within the industry of music that are involved. And, hey, this is not licensed content for, you know, the companies that really matter for this. Video game stuff, you can do it all you want, technically. But, like, hey, Curtis King Jr., he went on to do a lot of backing vocals for certain things, including the movie Chicago and the film Anastasia. And he actually was a backup singer for Bruce Springsteen E Street Band from 2009 to 2014. In fact, if you remember the album High Hopes, I believe that was also from 2014, you can hear his backing vocals in this. Wow. While as Dana Calitri, she also actually did backing vocals in the Chicago film from 2002, as well as she did the backing vocals for this movie 9, which is like a musical remake of 8½, the Fellini picture, which we mentioned that on the show before we did Kingdom Hearts for part 2. But actually now she does a lot of... Actually, she's an adjunct professor of music at New York University, because she has like a background also of working with a lot of other artists like Chris Daughtry, Shinedown, Hailstorm, and even the late Donna Summer.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you're getting a lot of famous music connections, and in the Saturn era, you kind of got that. And we'll see that at some point when we do Daytona USA Championship Circuit Edition, where you have Eric Martin. You remember, you're familiar with Mr. Big, the, To Be With You from 1990? Yeah, he did the vocal for that song, and he also teamed up with Johnny Gioli, who was of Crush 40. Before they were Crush 40, they were known as Sons of Angels. That was the name of the song that they did for that game. Wow. There was a lot of that in the Saturn era, and I guess it was also maybe going back to some of the stuff with Sonic 3, where Sonic 3 had music involvement by Michael Jackson, which was confirmed years later, as well as a lot of people who worked in Motown, like for record producing. And we'll hear more of this great song because there's a karaoke mode, and I'm going to sing the song because I know every lyric.
Okay.
And that's going to come a little later. In the meantime, though, we have to do this twice. How this works for the Christmas Nights portion, when you play the HD version as well, it works this way too. You play as Claris and you play as Elliot. You play as them twice, we have to get that star. It's on top of that, it goes on top of the tower. You're taking Elliot.
Go on, Elliot.
Mm-hmm. Elliot Edwards, he wants to be a basketball player. But yeah, as I said, Knights is helping them, I guess, get the confidence to do what they need to do. And technically bringing both Elliot and Claris together, and we mentioned this when we did Kingdom Hearts, the idea of Kairi and Sora, is there a romantic thing? The suggestion may be here too, but also like the deep bond that they have. So, you gonna say something?
No, you just look down and the strings pop right back up.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing, I guess, is like, because we're in the dream world, there's, like you're mentioning, Knights is the dream catchers, like, this is, I guess, that perspective, like, hey, Elliot and Claris can control their destinies to a certain degree here, and be able to do that to kind of take care of the Nightmarans, of which, we'll see them in the gallery, because there's a lot of gallery stuff you can unlock for this game as well, for this edition.
I love the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and let's go into one other thing, which is the way this game is made. Because actually, when I said we were going to do this a couple months ago, I know, Delphine, you were asking me, you're saying, how did this game get released as far as, not necessarily how they made it, but also, was it a box release? What was it? Because I have the Japanese version. It was apparently a sort of like not for real sale case of sorts, like a sampler, kind of. A little bit. Looking at the loops, it looks a little like a Dreamcatcher. Oh, you're right, with the colors and with the, like the stars there. Yeah, I never really put that together. Thank you. Like, first, you know what? I said that's the benefit of coming to a game like this, just looking at it. Saying like, hey, whether you played this game or not is technically immaterial. You can say like, hey, I'm looking at this and I can get a sense of what this perspective is as you're going along. But as I was mentioning, this was sold actually in the US with like a lot of game magazines, like a sampler with a demo. I mean, there's not a whole lot of game content to this to some degree, but Sega definitely made this something special, like, hey, something you want to pull out every Christmas just to see, like, hey, look at all the colors here, look at the wreaths, look at the fact that getting the bells going on, capturing them all in there, get my links going to 12. Yeah, which definitely want to do that.
Isn't it?
And like with Sonic the Hedgehog, in some ways, it also is going to that, like, hey, I can also use that to, do the drill dash, which, by the way, when you go through those wreaths, or the rings, we see the normal knights take, or the previous sorts to it. Also, I can go backwards. I'm going to go backwards so I don't run out of time to go to the cake.
Oh, wow.
For that. So yeah, it also is a bit of strategy, really, as far as like, okay, if I'm going to go for A ranks specifically for this, what do you want to do? And that's what we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we did Rystar. What's the hardest Sonic team game? Yeah, probably that one, or maybe Choo Choo Rocket on Dreamcast to some degree. But this is hard. Well, the reason this is hard is really for the ranking stuff, which comes into play more in regular nights. But yeah, the Christmas stuff, yeah, I think they just really want to make something unique. In fact, even on the box, you were asking me about this when I showed it to you, saying, only this winter, it says on the box. And I'll put a picture of the Japanese box art, and I guess the US box art technically too, in the YouTube site version. But just the idea, like, they wanted to do something, I guess, to kind of give a Christmas spirit to it, which I mentioned not a whole lot as far as, like, specific games. You can get stuff like Halloween and other holidays as well, but Christmas, you kind of have to dig deep, and so in some ways, this is kind of one of the most prevalent, interestingly enough. And it's on a system that did not necessarily take off massively in the US, so... But still, as I said, any Saturn faithful you talk to will tell you Knights is a work of art, and they're absolutely right. It absolutely is.
Maybe people in Japan are playing it today.
I would think perhaps so, or feasibly anywhere around the world. I mean, I told you, when I played this last year, I had not touched it. I specifically said, I'm going to play this live, blind, not knowing what I'm doing outside of, like, hey, how this works, because I had to unlock it in that HD release. And I just said, I was captivated. That was actually one of the most silent plays of anything. It's like, I was just discovering it right away myself. So in that way, it's like, yeah, I said even at the time, I said, I'd love to come back to this feasibly every Christmas if I could rationalize. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I could rationalize maybe coming back to it again after this, but I was like, well, I don't know, we'll see. But it's the kind of thing that, yeah, I think there are probably people out there who have Saturns, or maybe even have that HD edition on the systems it's available on, just saying, yeah, I want to show this. It's a game that in a lot of ways will draw a crowd, even if you could say, like, well, wait a minute, it's not the best looking game anymore, but as far as the artistry.
It looks really good. I love the colors, don't you?
Yeah.
It does. So Knights has become Elliot and Claris, who's doing the action, sort of. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, that's the idea, because basically, in this dream perspective, is that Elliot and Claris are... Yeah, they come to Knights for help, and yeah, they got all their stuff stolen by the Nutmarans, and then going in here, they basically, I think, correct me if this is not right, I think they kind of a fuse of sorts with Knights in this timeline specifically, because there are other games in the series. There's the Saturn one, which is the prequel to this story-wise, and then there's Knight's Journey to Dreams on the Wii, which does some different stuff. The only game I know besides Batman Arkham Origins and Contra Hardcore that takes place at Christmas. Yeah, oh, you're right. Yeah, because Batman Arkham Origins, which came out in 2013, 14, it was. Yeah, it is set at Christmas, kind of like, I guess, Batman Returns, we're talking like the Batman take. And, yeah, Contra Hardcore, I think you're right, there is a part in Contra Hardcore that does have that. At some point we could do that game, but, yeah, I'm gonna be dying constantly. I'm gonna not lie to you, because that game is insanely tough. But yeah, if you go to certain areas, by the way, you can also sort of go in the camera, so it's giving me a perspective of 3D while I'm on a track. Which you've seen with stuff like Kirby Crystal Shards, and also when we do Klonoa. At some point I do want to do Klonoa, for sure.
And upside down Christmas trees. I don't know how they hang up there, but that's cool.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the other thing, and that's the other thing, because actually when you get into this world, like, yeah, this is the dream world of what's going on, and I might actually do the go backwards thing, or I might say, you know what, I'll go back, I don't want to run out of time. I can also show later on what happens when you run out of time. Yeah, alright, they're just fine, and it will take your records as it is, and it does save to either... Okay, it saves to the internal memory on the Saturn, or if you have the memory card like I do, you can transfer that save over from that to that, and you might want to do that if you have a Saturn, because of the fact those watch batteries go dead. I don't know if any Saturn owners in the audience who know that. Going up and down and all around. Yeah, for Sonic Adventure, because yeah, we did... Actually, here's the other thing, to both my guests and to everybody in the chat, we did Sonic Adventure back in August. Remember we did the Knights Pinball when we went to Casinopolis? Mm-hmm. We saw this perspective. We actually kind of saw the box you're going to see later, like, which is really what it is. Like, hey, there's the mountains at the top and then at the bottom. Basically, I guess that's how Sonic Team figured, how can we do the 3D perspective on this and make it look nice on a system where it was more designed for its 2D, prowess. And Saturn does 2D stuff great. but because of how it was a dual architecture system, it took very, very specific development tricks and people who really knew how this hardware worked to make it sing. That's what you have games like this. Every one of the Panzer Dragoon games looks amazing. I mean, I remember when we had Nocturne actually, who was on the program, actually he's in the chat tonight, saying about because Nocturne has Panzer Dragoon 2's Vive for Saturn, which I remember looking at that. That came out actually right around the time this did. I remember looking at that and said, my god, this is a gorgeous looking game on a system that's not for 3D, and I realized, hey, what they did for that game is they built their own software library to pretty much make it so that, yeah, they're gonna do the 3D tech, and it looks incredible. And I think that's really kind of what it goes to as far as like the tech of this system, and you'll see some stuff that's shoddy as far as how it looks, but the developers really knew how to design for the system. Sonic Team Andromeda, who made the Panzer Group stuff, and so on and so forth. They're said, all right, let's get going. I got a drill dash all the way to the end. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And I just made it.
Wow.
That's what you want to do in order to get high scores. So you usually have enough time to that.
You should have got a B for that. Oh yeah.
Well, overall, yeah, for the because they do take it that way. Here's Gill Wing again. Here's the other difference also. When you're playing as Elliot, he comes to the right as opposed to the left for Claris specifically. But same deals before you do this. I will try and see if I can, loop him. Or show also what happens when you get hit. You hit, you lose 5 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And that happens a lot, and it can if you're not careful. And in some cases, when I first played it, sometimes you have to be really specific on how this runs. And also in my case, I played it on the Xbox 360, which, as I said, it's a good version of it there. It's definitely a good port. That one, the PS3 edition, the PC version, and technically on the PS2, where we didn't get the PS2 version in the US, it was Japan only. But the way the analog controls on it is so much different. Speaking of which, do you want to run Panzer Dragoon 2's Vice sometime, perhaps with Panzer Dragoon 1? They don't have that for Saturn since they're not long games. Absolutely. I would totally love to do that. As far as Panzer Dragoon 1, I technically do have Panzer Dragoon 1. Actually, I have it two ways. I have the remake that came out on the Switch a couple years ago, and I also do have the Saturn version that was ported in, what was it? It was ported in Panzer Dragoon Orta for Xbox, which it did show off. Ooh, yeah, okay, I gotta be careful with that. Yeah, absolutely, I'd love to do that. And, hey, I've been waiting, because here's another thing. They're remaking Panzer Dragoon 2's Vi, just like they did with Panzer Dragoon 1. But it was supposed to come out this year. I don't think it's coming out this year, unless they pull something really, real to that. But, yeah, that's the case. By the way, when you do that, when you do it for both Claris and Elliot, you do have the star there and you're all set. I'd love to see Panzer Dragoon 1, and I love the remake. Yeah, I like the remake too, aside from the loading. The loading is horrible, but outside of that, it's a great game. And it's a great remake, and the original's great too. And Panzer Dragoon 2's Vi is a terrific game. I played that as well.
The star's there.
Alright, there you go. So here's what's going on with this, is that we got the star, but remember, we're in the dream world.
Oh, right.
It technically didn't count, but, well... Ellie and Claris woke up. They were meeting each other in the town. And yeah, she's very happy to see him because they do have the connection for the first night's game. Yeah, we'll definitely put the Panzer Dragoons on the docket. Panzer Dragoon Saga, that's going to be the challenge. I'll see what I can do. I'm probably going to have to take a mortgage out for that one, considering it goes for thousands of dollars. But alright, so Elliot slipped on the ice.
Oh, Elliot.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, or... We mentioned the Super Gaming Brothers show on this. I always think of the Crash Bandicoot 3 playthrough of Seriously Elliot, which is the brother of John Ortiz on that stream case. It's actually kind of a bit of an inspiration sort of to this show, but in a different case. But alright, fine. He slipped. He lived, and this knocked the people feasibly out of their perspective. I guess the idea is that you could make it to get a sense of, like, the commercialism of Christmas in the sense, like, they're walking around, they're not paying attention. If you see the English version of this, you kind of get a sense. But yeah, Claris is there to help out. And everybody is looking there, they're happy, and... Well, we don't have the star there, but there is the tower. And this is where you also get that perspective, maybe the romantic perspective, but it's the idea like, hey, this is like a meeting of two minds, really, and they kind of come together in the dream world and the real one, and you get this beautiful, beautiful show of, well, what's going on here.
Oh.
And there you go.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So, yeah, there you go. And you get the Silent Night going on, and it is just beautiful. That's the thing, and technically it's magical. It is. You're absolutely right, and
I love it.
that's really, I think Nights really is, and we're getting the credits already. Yeah, trust me, we're not done with the show. Half an hour, and we're already having the credits. But there's some stuff to talk about the credits because we can't skip this, by the way. Yeah, okay, it is going to show the credits. Don't worry, it's a white screen for a reason. It'll come up. Like they think it will. Okay, there we go. Nights and Dreams only this winter. Yeah, which is just shown on the box.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we're getting actually an acapella, like a choral version of Dreams. And like first you're mentioning Sonic Adventure, the up and down all around from Speed Highway from that game. We actually, here's the other thing about that, there's a connection to that. The vocals on this song were done by Marlon Saunders, who did the vocals for Unknown from ME from Sonic Adventure, as well as Gabriel Morris and Issa Clement. Gabriel Morris and Issa Clement, interesting enough, I dug as deep as I could. I couldn't find anything about them as far as other works they've done, other Sega stuff they've done even, but in Marlon Saunders' case, I found some other stuff along with the Sonic Adventure stuff, and it was Sonic Adventure 1, but also Sonic Adventure 2, which he did the redo of Unknown from ME in that one. But he also did the We Are Burning Rangers theme from another Sonic Team game from Saturn. It also shows off the system's tech pretty effectively, Burning Rangers. And he also did a lot of other stuff, so like some stuff with movies. He was a production assistant on the movie 16 Blocks, which I won't hold against him because I hate that movie with all my being, but yeah. And he had a bit part in the movie Enchanted, the film from 2007 with Amy Adams. If you're familiar with the Calypso Singer, I'll see if I can find a picture of who that is, because actually I've never seen that movie. I should fix that, probably. Yeah, that was him. So you could say to all your friends, yeah, the guy who's the Calypso Singer in Enchanted did Unknown from ME from Sonic Adventure, and it's amazing. And that's what I just mentioned, kind of going into some of this stuff as far as like the background, you're thinking like, would there be a lot of connections for some of this stuff? But there really is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a fascinating thing to kind of go through that. And seeing the Nitopian there by the candle, and it is good stuff. Yeah, here we go. Here are the credits for the acapella take on Dreams. Which, weirdly enough, the credits for the HD version do not list this. In fact, I think that's how I also found out that the PS2 edition was ported for the HD release, because like they used the same credits for that PS2 edition in the HD edition that came out later. Bless you.
Oh, there's Marlon Sanders.
Marlon D. But see, they say Sanders, although it's actually Saunders, because if you see the credits of Sonic Adventure, it says that. At first I said, wait, is that the same person? But I guess they kind of either left the U off or wasn't going by the U or something. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. So that's the idea, and it gets you into that Christmas spirit.
So what's that character sitting under the candle? Who's that?
That is a Nitopian. Basically, the idea is that when you go into the dream world, or the dream world that we saw for that, and we'll see this when we change the clock later, that could be near the end of the program, you have these, like, these little creatures. Actually, in some ways, they're kind of a take of, what is it? Their takeoff on the challenge that Sonic Adventure had, like, the A-Life take. It was in this one, and it was in this first, these cute creatures that have this, like, magical power. So I finally watched Judge Dredd, the movie, for the first time. Okay, which one? The one from 1985 or Dredd from 2013? Now, people tend to not like that movie that much, but I mean, I don't really have an opinion because I haven't seen either one. But it's like, well, sometimes it has that cheesy, value, the Sylvester Stallone perspective. Have you seen Judge Dredd?
No, I
Any of
haven't
them?
seen Judge Dredd.
Yeah, back in the 90s, maybe.
Yeah, because that's going back a ways. 1995, the original. Okay, so Judge Dredd from 1985 that had Sylvester Stallone. It's based on the comic from, I think it's Dark Horse. Maybe I'm wrong. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'll put an edit in later. With Sylvester Stallone in the role. And of course, feasibly the cheesy perspective, like, you can't arrest me about being about the law. I am the law. I'm trying to remember the specific to that. It was also a time, I think, when he was all over the place. People were like kind of in on it, but it's also something that there is some intrigue to it. And there was also a game based on that Acclaim made for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, which I've never played. I've heard mixed things about it, but I also heard the game based on Demolition Man, which I think was from the same people. It's actually really good. I'll have to try and see if I can't track that one down. Particularly that Genesis version, because I heard it's really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So, yeah, what'd you take as far as that? We'll cover whatever you want in the chat as far as that. It's like, yeah, don't feel limiting. It's like, yeah, that's the beauty of both my guests here, which is that you never know what you're getting on the show. Whether you're in the chat, you're on the show, whatever it is. All right, so yeah, produced by Sega. We are not done. I will explain also one other thing, though, while waiting for this to load in. While we're also going to get, I think... Okay, no, the HD version, I'm thinking. You get congratulations, take. Here's the other thing. For this release, when you complete either one of the stages, you get this, like, matching card game. That's you unlock the Christmas presents. If you hit Riala, you have to do everything over again. So, like, yeah, it's a good movie, though it's pretty predictable. Yeah, I guess I can get that to a certain degree. As far as, like, maybe the thought, like, you look at it and you get a sense of, like, knowing where it's going to go and, like, when does that become a problem, when does it not, and couple other things that way as well.
That looked like a Christmas card, that one image.
Yeah, I mean, since to pad the show out, and since we're having a discussion, I'll let the cutscene play again, and then we'll go into the stuff with the Christmas presents. Because, I mean, this is good, background, I guess, background noise, background visual, background everything, for the purpose of the discussion we have going on tonight, which I'm definitely liking.
I like the drawings. I do think they're good. I really think they're quite good.
There's a lot of there's a lot of artistry to this game. That's why it's the perspective of like gaming is art, really. And I think I mean, you look at something like this, and sometimes I think maybe nowadays it's maybe an easier case to look at and peg down nowadays than maybe it was even in 1996. Of the idea of like it's an entertainment medium. I mean, yeah, it is, of course, but then the idea of like looking at the artistry. We mentioned that, and look, art. I don't mean to toot my own horn on the show. I really don't. We go into that. We will, celebrate these kind of things. This small minutiae that some people say, like, do we really need to? But the answer is, like, no, I think we do need to, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It makes the show interesting, and it's that there's a lot of things to say about attaching to a game like this, or just being attracted to saying, like, wow, look at this. Even, like, the fuzzy filter they chose for this, which they take away for the HD version, understandably so, but for this one, it does kind of maybe look a little better, just because of, like, again, they're not in the dream yet, but for the purpose of this cutscene. But yeah, that idea of like, the magical perspective, as Chad was saying, I guess, ethereal.
It is. I love that.
How long had the Sonic team been creating games by the time they produced this?
This was, Yuji Naka was in the industry going back to the SG-1000, which came out in the 80s, and he worked on this game, Girl's Garden, and I'll put a picture of it in the YouTube site as far as what it is. It was kind of like this sort of arcadey thing. He did a lot of stuff at Sega specifically, and I think as he was going on to some stuff he was being made, or was made for him, Sonic the Hedgehog came in 1991, and I think when I believe that's the first time they officially used the term of Sonic Team, and then from that they also went on to other stuff like Rise Star, which we played a couple weeks ago, Phantasy Star Online, which came out on the Dreamcast, Choo Choo Rocket, Sonic Team is the company, Samba de Amigo, which was on Dreamcast as well. Yeah, maybe you're familiar with that for the Dreamcast and the Wii. So, I mean, I would say feasibly 30 years, but I think it's probably going back further just because of the fact that Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima, who, again, they worked on the character design of Sonic and also for the design of this and Balan Wonderworld this year, where they're not with Sonic Team specifically anymore, or with Sega even anymore. But, yeah, so I guess about 30 years, give or take, a little bit. Okay. I think maybe the thing with Sonic the Hedgehog is Sonic the Hedgehog was something that really took things in high gear, and I guess I was going to hold this until later, but you know what? Since we're talking Sonic the Hedgehog now, let's look at it now. And this is going to be me doing this fresh. By the way, we're going to go through every one of these things. You have karaoke mode. We'll do that for sure. Link Attack, Time Attack, some music stuff. The Netopian Collection, which is in the HD version. That's the one thing of these they did hold over. As well as the museum for the pictures of the characters. Some cinematics of how they sold this game. I think the opening cinematic of Knights itself. And some other goodies. Actually, some interesting stuff to see. But we're taking a look at Sonic the Hedgehog Into Dreams. You need to have the Sega Saturn version to have this, and here he is.
Tapping his foot.
Yep. Technically, unless you count Sonic 3D Blast, this is the first 3D model take of Sonic. And you do have the Christmas thing, so actually, in this case, what you do is you're not really even going in here to have Knights' help. Well, sort of. Alright, fine. You're going through, you're following the arrow, you're running around, and just doing the jump. To be honest, I'll say this from what I've seen of this. I don't necessarily know if... I don't know necessarily if they necessarily designed this around the perspective of being able to, play it the way Knights is, because this is 3D perspective play. I mean, I'm moving in a 3D perspective, which technically with Elliot and Clarice you are before you go into the cake, or into the portal that we'll see later. And usually the other thing I might also do is, like Sonic Adventure, you do use left and right triggers to move the camera. You basically go through here to go through the rings, I guess, and I'll also show when we change the clock off. I'll also show what it looks like in Spring Valley mode. But yeah, we are in Christmas mode, collecting the orbs here with Sonic, just going around, and it's not really, as I said, it's not too much as far as what it is. It's really, well, in all honesty, it was a prototype, really, for where Sonic was going to go. Sonic looked like he's on crack or had a lot of coffee. Well, maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, I would say if he's going to take the former take, I would say maybe that was more in the 2000s, if you want to look at it that way, maybe. But I mean, look at the way he's moving. He's moving a lot faster. He's like, Or I think of like on the Fairly Odd Parents when Cosmo and Wanda pretend to be Timmy's parents. It goes around like saying like drinking coffee. It's like, ooh, coffee, 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 coffee. It's like, yeah, he's extremely hyper, but hey, he's got to go fast. And yeah, fast as far as his movement, fast as far as everything else. But as I said, yeah, this is not really designed this way. It was like, well, we can still maybe kill the Nighttopian here, or maybe jump into him, or maybe not. Yeah, eventually you do get, I think either you have to go through all the rings, and you do have a time limit for that. We won't be here an hour, I don't think. But there is a boss that goes to this, and I do want to show that off. Yeah, but this is the first time we're going full 3D with Sonic, not counting Sonic 3D Blast, which we played on Saturn prior. But also, I mean, let's also talk what was really going on with Sonic. Montague, you're saying, when did the Sonic team start? Why did they go through that tree, number one? Okay, I got hit by something. Oh, right, I think I have to take it back to the cake, or the tree, or whatever it is. Alright, hang on. Okay, there we go. So yeah, follow the arrow, so it's like Crazy Taxi. Hey, 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 you're going the wrong way. Follow the arrow.
I always get that when I play that game.
Well, that game can be, okay, there you go, so we got it. Alright, so I got bonus time. It's very weird how this is working, so like, just follow, I guess just follow the arrow then. Yep, follow the Crazy Taxi perspective. Which we can do that, but I have to turn off all the music, because it's all licensed stuff. But, we can make that game work that way. Okay, so, alright, fine, an F. And I think part of that is because you are sort of on a time limit, but they don't give you the time limit here, from what I've understood. As I said, this was more just really to give a sense of Sonic going 3D, and as I mentioned, where Sonic was at this time, because let's talk about this. This is about 2 years after Sonic 3 and Sonic Knuckles came out, which we played a couple months ago. Or we played with Knuckles specifically. The next question was, okay, what's Sonic gonna do next? Saturn's coming out. What are they gonna do? They were gonna be making Sonic Extreme, which was a case where people made Sonic 2 who made it, and what happened was that, well, the conditions that were going on were so negative, so, stressful for the people who were involved. There were people, they almost died making that game. That's not an exaggeration. They worked so hard to exhaustion, working them so hard to exhaustion that they went to the doctors and said, based on your vitals, if you don't do something about this and stop this instantly, you're gonna die in 6 months. And the whole project kind of went down, and it's thought that maybe Yuji Naka kind of sabotaged it because of arguable xenophobia out of him in regards to, his attitude of the Japanese, or the US developers going on Sonic at the time for Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, maybe. But point is, like, the game got canceled, and it's like, what's the 3D take on Sonic? So it was like, it would be maybe this, but then again, well, if not that, well, what about Sonic Fighters? We played earlier this year. That was going to get a Saturn port. It didn't get one. And then Sonic 3D Blast was kind of in place of that. The 3D Sonic World case of Sonic Jam, and as was mentioned prior, about a month or so ago, Sonic R. Which, and we can definitely do all those Sonic games. I intend to figure out doing those eventually at some point. You say something?
I don't think you're going to get an F this time.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I've been watching. You've been following the arrow perfectly.
I'm trying to follow. See, it's funny. You could argue I am, but in a lot of ways, here's the thing. I mean, I'm just moving. I'm just kind of I'm really not paying as much attention to the game as you might think, just because I'm like walking around. Okay, but I do need to go through 4 of these. I always want to go through all 4 of these just because I want to show the boss, because it is going to be a bit different. You get to enjoy more of the Christmas atmosphere for sure. And hear like the Jingle Bells mix and all that stuff. Deck them halls and ho 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 and mistletoe and pretty girls deserving of presents. Yeah, it's like I'm resigning myself. As I said, this one specifically is not me showing skill. I'm just trying to go where the arrow's taking me to find things. So, like, as I said, this is not intended for skills. Like, there's probably the expert play of this. I don't know what it is. Chad, if you know what it is on Sonic the Hedgehog Into Dreams, let me know, and we can go into that more. Yeah, just keep enjoying the atmosphere, and anything you want to go over, anything you want to discuss, we can do that. Anything with my guests in the room with me as well. But by the way, I guess this is going to be a bit of a precursor to 2 weeks, because we're not having a show next week. But in 2 weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to have Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. My man Protorova is going to be coming in for that one, and it'll be on for each part of that we're going to do across 6 months. We got some good streams coming along, and I'll get into that as far as the scheduling at the end of the show. Yeah, okay, that's the thing. He's handling the slopes weird. Because, like, as soon as I hit that, you saw that, it just kind of bounced back. Don't know why, but Okay, yeah, he can't run up slopes, so I was like, alright, fine. This is really the first 3D Sonic game, because, like, people say, hey, it's weird when you can, you know, stand on the side or upside down in a loop in Sonic 06. Yeah, technically that was happening before with Nights and Dreams, where he couldn't even go up a slope. Like, he had to learn how to slope. It was like, in 2D, he could do that, no problem. In 3D, it was a little bit of a, I guess, a bit of a growing pain, technically. I mean, he found his way, for sure. And, hey, it's fitting as, I guess, we're playing this for the part of the last show of the year, because, like, Sonic's 30th anniversary this year. So, yeah, there you go. Alright, so that was better. What was that?
A D.
That was a D. Okay, it's...
Yay!
I'll take it. It's a passing grade.
Yay!
Or it's as friends of mine in college used to say, you know, jokingly, C's get degrees. It's like, okay, they do, I guess, because you're passing just barely. It was like, well, okay, fine. Okay, no, I have to show that. The Netopians, they're in eggs.
Oh, yeah.
If you find the eggs, you can sometimes, not sometimes, you find the eggs, you can free them. Alright, fine. It's technically the same case as normal nights in that I have to collect 20 of those, Adeas. That's what those, orbs are, by the way, and then get them to the tree. Yeah, you do have the take of this. Actually, it is a little different, so I will briefly show that off when we do the switch over, but that's going to be a little later into the night. Not too late. I mean, this is not going to be, admittedly, a very long show compared to some of the stuff we have, but as I said, it goes based on the game, if it's long. This is, I'm getting the most squeeze out of, basically a demo, to a certain degree, really. Because that's the idea of what this was. This was an addendum of sorts to Nights, sort of a sequel story-wise, but it was like, yeah, it was not intended really as a full game. That was what the Wii game was for, and a lot of fans sometimes say, like, yeah, they kind of were not huge on that, but we can do the sequel. I've played a little bit of it, but it's been so long since I have, I don't really have much of an opinion on it. Okay, that's weird. What? Oh, wait, what was that? Okay, yeah, that's the game doing that. That's not my tech. I swear to that. Spent all year trying to figure the Saturn stuff out, but I guess I can't go in the water. The water is a visible box. Alright, so yeah, this is a unique thing, isn't this? Is that I didn't even know necessarily this was. Okay, let's get back to the tree and get everything there. Alright, because that's the thing, I gotta follow the arrow, but sometimes the tree is out of the way or it's on top of the mountain. Okay, there it is. Alright, that's gonna be terrible because my bonus time was 108 seconds, but... Okay, right, that's the thing. For the best time there, they do have a limit of an hour. So that's how they institute that, but alright, let's just walk back. By the way, you also do not have, which I don't think you do, yeah, pressing all the face buttons, all you have is jump. You don't have a spin dash, you don't have, homing attack, because it was not, fine. Sonic 3 Blast had that sort of. Alright, there's 4. Alright, what do you do 4? Same case as before. F, yeah, sorry.
It's alright.
Or sorry to Sonic, you know. I'm fine with this, but yeah, here we go. Here's the boss. This is Puffy, but he is themed after Dr. Robotnik.
He is. He looks like Dr. Robotnik.
And actually, it's just like the Puffy fight when we do normal nights here. You're moving left and right. We're on that plane. You knock Puffy over into the areas there, and they are playing, I believe, a remix of like one of the Robotnik themes. I don't know. It's the Robotnik theme, I believe, from the Japanese version of Sonic CD. I believe it's that way in the US version as well. Yeah, just keep busting him into the wall there to knock him through. And just keep going. Whoa. Yeah, this is part of the I believe it's the Soft Museum where you see Puffy in the normal game. Yeah, in this case, yeah, bounce him against the wall, and boom, there you go. So yeah, they do vary some stuff up as far as the way the bosses are concerned for that, and sometimes it can kind of get hard to hit him into that and then knock him to the next area. Whoa. Alright, so there you go. I think we got... Oh yeah, we crushed him to death. I think, or he just disappeared. Alright, but there we go. So we did it in 9 minutes. And Nightmare Time as well. Alright, new record 10 minutes, not bad. And I guess Robotnik is exploding. I think all the bosses do that in Nights, so it makes sense. Alright, so that is that. We'll come back to that, as I mentioned, when we do the switch for Christmas mode, which, by the way, if you're wondering what this one question mark is for, when you have the games, or the system clock of the Saturn set to anything other than between, I believe it's late November to early January, the game handles like a demo of Nights normal. And when you go into this, when you have everything unlocked, that's the Christmas Nights case, it loads this up. So basically, anytime you want to play it during the year, you can do it, or you can just change the system clock to Christmas if you want it.
Oh, nice.
But alright, so that's that. You know what, I'll show the stuff that goes with gameplay first. Did Sonic into Dreams. Let me show the time attack. There's Knights again. We have the time attack, and yeah, let's try. This is again a little bit of a, you know, sampler as far as the game itself and how we're gonna handle it. Actually, one thing you do have is you do have this great, the Knights music. Actually, we heard this Knights music when we were doing, Sonic, Adventure. Because, yeah, when you do the Knights Pinball, you hear this music. At the time, I didn't know what it was, because I had never played Knights, or I hadn't played Knights when I played Sonic Adventure. Actually, honestly, the only take, and I guess, to my guess, what's your take as far as Knights when you knew about it, or do you know about it, or have you experience with it, really? And that is, well, I first noticed it really, as I mentioned, in Sonic Adventure, and then also in, actually, in Somni Amigo, because that game had Dreams Unlockable as far as music. There you go, that is the time, or here is the time attack. Just basically going around this area of Spring Valley, just getting items and going through laps. And you continue this, I believe, up to, I'm trying to remember how many laps it is. It's kind of more just of like a fun bonus as far as like, hey, I'm going around. Again, the nice music, the do-do-do-do-do-do. It's nice stuff.
Is Knights easier to handle than
depending on the Sonic game, yes. In normal circumstances, not depending that. Actually, in some ways, it's as easy to handle with this controller specifically, because I mentioned this got ports on other systems that they replicate or try to replicate the way this slide. I mean, I'm holding the controller up to my guests here. See what I'm doing here? Yeah. I'm kind of sliding this, opposed to like where the stick is kind of stuck on like. Okay, I don't have my Xbox One or Switch controllers out to show that now to you, but like it's kind of oblong or up a bit. This one's kind of sunk in really.
Yeah.
It's almost, they call it the 3D analog pad, or like I don't think they call it a slider pad exactly, really, but you're kind of sliding it. So for this version specifically, they made this controller specifically for these two games. It was like, hey, they want to have the specific movements, and in that way, it feels so effortless. I remember the first time actually I played this game actually on Saturn. I played it the HD edition, and I played it on Saturn. I played with the controller. I said, there's no going back. As much as I can play the other one, it's like I'm missing turns in cases on the other systems that I would never miss just doing this. And this one, it's not happening. So when it comes to controlling easier than Sonic, yeah, this one, yes, I would say. Especially some of the 3D Sonics, although as I mentioned, we're on a 2D plane with this one. So I guess that's kind of the take of what that's working like, at least. I guess it's easier to control Knights this way than the Sonic Into Dreams we saw before. As I mentioned, kind of like just a small bonus of, you know, Knights with Sonic and 3D.
Because you don't have to follow an arrow here.
Well, I mean, technically,
right?
yeah, you're right, because for this, I mean, technically the Sonic Into Dreams case is unique because it kind of changes the way the game plays, because I'm on 2D track here, so like I don't have to worry about, you know, my depth or my height the way I do with Sonic. So it's like, yeah, this case I can't miss it, so it's like I'm going left and right, they don't need to give me an arrow.
Right.
So in that case, it kind of works out nicely. Alright, I will stop eventually, because they do give you an option to, when you go through that, to, yeah, okay, collect all the items. Yeah, you hit start, you can choose to exit or not. We're going to exit. I think it'll go up to 20 laps, I think, or maybe 99.
Wow.
It stops eventually, but it's kind of like a thing you do that. And it does give you, like, link information or time attack records. I meant to say this. This is link attack. I'll show you how this works. Kind of similar to what we saw before, but alright, let's get to this. Yeah, we are going to be going to, not Spring Valley where we were before. This is the Frozen Bell. Fitting for Christmas also. This is actually a level in the Knights game. Basically, the idea is like, there's that number there. You want to take the ball with you. You want to get your link up to the number that's on it. You get the links up, collecting the items, going through the rings, and keeping that going long enough so that doesn't fade away. And I believe in this mode, they keep the link on screen a little longer. Basically, go around laps, you try and get the biggest link you can. And I don't think there's anything... Chat, correct me if this is not right. I don't think there's anything that you get for getting more, a higher link. I think the idea is, like, you just want to keep going about it as long as you want to go. As it challenges your skills, at challenging getting those links going. And yeah, getting those turns going, which, as I mentioned, on the HD version is a hard thing. And actually, the link attack isn't in the HD version anyway. Yeah, just to see, actually, in a lot of ways, this looks like how Planet Freon did when we played Rystar a couple weeks ago, which is fitting. Same people made it, but... So there you go.
This one. This is great.
Yeah, you'll like when we do Knights regular on Saturn, because we'll come here for sure. Because I only did like a take sorta on Knights on the HD edition. It was kind of like a specialized show for last year. I said like, let me show the HD version of this. Let me show Knights itself off as a frame of reference, and that was really it. But yeah, when we do Knights, it's going to be a full Super Old Game Saturday play of it. We'll leave no stone unturned on that one. Go through the story, go through everything with each of the characters, all the levels, hear all the wonderful music that's unique to it, and then also see some of the absolutely beautiful and kind of surprisingly, you might be surprised to hear this, baby, or if you played this game, you're probably thinking like, no, of course it is. Surprisingly moving, weirdly enough. There's one part, I don't want to give it away, that is unbelievably touching, and it does feel very earned, and I do really like the way that the game does that.
I like seeing all the points, because you know what you're doing good.
And also the like the sound of the links going the blum 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 blum, and it is very nice stuff. It just, as I said, I'll tell you what this game really is. We mentioned before, it's very almost like a ballet. It's burlesque, or not burlesque, Harlequin-esque. Actually, no, maybe burlesque in the sense like the costuming. Maybe I can imagine maybe like, yeah, here be an interesting crossover like gaming, like go to a Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, revival night, dressed as knights, perhaps, or mix knights with like Tim Curry's character in that movie. Perhaps, like, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody who's done it. Yeah, somebody will let me know if it's been done. Or maybe I'll look online and see if I can find something to that. But yeah, something like that. Like, it is this kind of beautiful ballet of something that it's kind of weirdly, it's a weirdly primal and kind of, you know, I don't know if raw is the right word to put it. I mean, very, I guess, since it's pure perspective of just gaming. The idea is like, hey, you're just going along with this, enjoying the sights and sounds, get moving, kind of doing the same thing over and over again, but it's so well put together, and there's such a polish and a craft and an artistry to it that you're still hooked and you still want to keep going like crazy to it. You know what I'm saying? I definitely get that idea of it. And I guess it's a question, have either of you played this, either this Crystal Knights game or Knights itself?
I've never, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I didn't grow up with it specifically because I didn't have Saturn until actually this year, as it's been. Yeah, it took 25 years since the system came out to actually get one of these things, or get to a point where, like, yeah, let me pick one of these up. Yeah, I did play that HD edition when it dropped in 2012, so that was my experience. In fact, I remember actually getting so much into the soundtrack, I was pretty much, I was actually playing it in the car with, friends of mine in college, and trying to say, like, broaden their horizons a little bit, as far as some of the music I hear, like some video game music too, and they picked up, this sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog, like, yeah, it's Knights. And actually, we'll hear one of those pieces of music when we do the April Fool's Day Easter egg, which I think we'll get to eventually, but I'm going to go to a couple more laps, probably lap 20, and then we'll be set. But just enjoying, like, yeah, hearing the Knights theme going on with this. Alright, let's see. Alright, you know what, I think we're getting close to what this is. Oh, yeah, I'll do 2 more laps. Meantime, chat, let me know anything you got, anything else you're thinking, and, or anything else that's on your mind, or a reaction to what you're seeing. There's any of my guests in the room with me tonight. Again, I thank you very much for joining me for this program tonight.
It's a pleasure. You picked a good one.
Yeah, I mean, especially for Christmas as it's been, I mean, or as it is, I should say, because, as I said, it's kind of a tough thing as far as finding great Christmas games, but as you were saying, sometimes the perspective of, hey, you know, memories of Christmas with certain games, either because you have them for Christmas, you play them with people at Christmas just because. I mean, hey, stuff like Super Mario Brothers or Sonic the Hedgehog, or even like normal nights of this, or even this one, even if you like take out the Christmas perspective, like, hey, you'll hang out with association just because of that. And that's really been, I think, what the show has kind of become. And honestly, what both of the people tonight with me, everybody in the chat, like first Nocturne, all of you have, everybody else, anyone who's come to the show, whether it's been once, every time, whatever, you've made. I mean, and I said, I started this just last year, like middle of last year, just because, like, I wasn't seeing a whole lot of people. I just want to show a lot of the weird gaming stuff I have, kind of have a discussion with that, people show off what it is. And then, but people came in the chat, they said, hey, I want to see certain things, I'm curious about this, I have this memory of what it is, or memories of it. And it kind of, I realized it went deeper. And now that we're at the end of 2021, I'm realizing just how great this is. By the way, if you're hearing like a shaking of like bells or something, that is our pets, by the way, just to go into perspective of that. But yeah, they are good dogs for sure.
I suppose was on the point of games having a Christmas theme. From a commercial point of view, you've only got a limited window to sell something. So,
maybe.
That's probably why you don't see it.
That's true, although you could feasibly get the sense of, like, hey, Christmas starts when it wants, it ends when it wants, so feasibly they could release a Christmas game in August, and they'll probably be maybe putting it up in stores to a certain degree. Although, actually, as I mentioned, there's some stuff on 2600 that has like that. There's stuff on Intellivision, older systems like that. There's this. I mentioned that Grinch game, which here is kind of but they're actually, the Wii, of all places, had a lot of games kind of themed after Christmas, including one based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. There's also a DS version of that, as well as stuff like Santa Claus is Coming to Town and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, based on those specials that were like point-and-click games on the Wii. So they exist, just you have to really dig for them. I guess feasibly the other thing is that unlike Halloween, say, we have a genre that goes to it.
And ghosts around any time. But you're right, Monte.
Something like that.
I thought that was a good point. But you know, like this game, you said if you play at a certain time of year, you get to see Christmas, but you can also see something else. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll see that. At the end of the show, I will show that.
So you could have a game maybe that actually depended on the calendar. You did like a certain holiday depending on when you played it. Yeah, change this holidays and change this. That would be really...
and there are a couple games that do that actually.
Oh, there.
Well, to a certain extent, because actually Animal Crossing does that. The New Horizons, specifically the most recent one, has Toy Day, which is actually their take on Christmas, and also stuff like, I guess Chad and to my guests are familiar with this one, Harvest Moon or Story Seasons, as it's known now, where you have the idea of winter and it kind of going into the idea of like that holiday that way.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, there are definitely games that do that. But you're right. I mean, specific games around that. But that's not a bad argument. I never really thought of like the why. And I guess as I mentioned, like with horror things, sometimes you have a genre that. When we played Fatal Frame a couple months ago, we finished it. That's a survival horror game, so you're like, okay, that fits for Halloween just on its face. Whereas with, I guess with Christmas, it's tough to say as far as like a genre that you'd say like, okay, I can associate that alone for Christmas. Well, I get my links up to 61. All right, there you go. So that's fine enough, I think, for that. I think we can. I think we made the point on that enough. But yeah, let's go to the exit and we'll take a look at the other stuff. As I mentioned, then I'll change the. System clock to April Fool's Day because there's a little bit of an Easter egg show.
Now you know what? I haven't seen Santa. I was looking.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, well, the other thing is maybe. Well, I can also look on the playback, see maybe it was in there in the video somewhere that I missed. All right, so we did the Link Attack and the Time Attack. Yeah, we'll do the top row. Let's do the Nighttopian collection because you mentioned who are those creatures. I can show you what the Nighttopians are because as you go along, you can free them by like doing the loop on them or hatching the eggs. In this case, I've gotten a lot of them. I got 19 out of the 24, I believe it is.
They look like little Santas.
Yeah, especially for this, and they did design them with sprites as opposed to like polygon. Well, sort of polygons. It's actually kind of similar to, I don't know if chat or my guests are familiar with this, Clockwork Knight, which is on Saturn as well from Sega, which had this kind of like pre-rendered look to itself, as you're seeing along with that. Yeah, I think the other thing is also some like show, emotions, and the idea is that, as I said, there's a thing called A-Life in this, which is like a system that kind of take it like a virtual pet, though in all honesty, it's kind of, to me, really nebulous how it works. Chad, if you know how the A-Life in Knights works, I should say, tell me, and we can, go into that more. But as I mentioned, it's kind of like a precursor to what the Chow system of Sonic Adventure was, especially when Sonic Adventure 2 got to it as well. But yeah, you have the nice little Nighttopians there doing stuff. All right, so, and we'll do the karaoke last before we switch things. I'm gonna show off the museum stuff. Actually, I had to do some notes on this because I didn't remember the names of every one of the characters except for Knights. Okay, so yeah, basically it's a bit of an art gallery, so you get to see all the little pictures of all the characters, including Knights. So, actually, this is what Knights normally looks like in a normal game. We'll see that when we do the switch of dates. Yeah, in fact, there is the Harlequin take, but more like the purple.
Yeah.
Which really associates Knights as well.
Kind of thing, hair.
Yeah, or like the court jester, perhaps.
Yeah, and all the little triangles.
Yeah, actually, I think one thing they do have as an unlockable on this, I believe they have the opening cutscene for Knights itself that plays into that vibe a little bit. Yeah, Knights is on top of the Twin Seats Tower. Or, yeah, Twin Seats. I keep thinking, like, wait a second, is that the right name? But, yeah, there you go. Yeah, the nice profile shot of Knights looking in the distance. Knights, being a little quizzical and that. This is it. We're going to go through all this stuff. We're going to show all the pictures of what you unlock. And it did take me some time to do that because I mentioned you do that matching card game, and if you hit Riala's face on it, Riala's kind of like the villain sort of the series, and we'll see Riala a little later. Yeah, you lose instantly. It's like, oh, you have to play again. But all right, so we're going to look at Elliot. As I mentioned, he wants to be a basketball player. In fact, there he is. There he is with his friends for the purpose of, he wants to go onto the courts every day and tries to, but he's not sure about how it's going to work. And then him going to sleep. And then, this is actually, what this is doing, actually, this is going to be a preview to when we do Nights and Dreams itself. You get the idea of, like, what is their nightmare looking like? What is their fears looking like? His fears is like, hey, he's going to be cut from the team. People are not going to want him to go with them. They're thinking, like, he can't, be trusted at the moment. Or, like, if you, for basketball cases, like, you have to take the big shot, the last free throw or three-pointer shot to make, and you miss that, they're not trusting you to take that. Like, he's afraid of that. And there's Clarice as well. It's like, he meets Clarice, and they have their connection that way because they're both going into the dream. And in this case, they're also running the actual model that goes to it in the CG cutscenes. And there he is with that, and then back to the streets with Mr. Elliot here. Or Mr. Edwards, because technically Elliot's last name is Edwards in this game. Because I didn't know what his last name was, but I want to make sure I got that right. Alright, so next, so I'll go down through this, and then the last thing we'll do is the karaoke, and then we'll also change the system clock and show a little bit of a preview of what Nights normal look like and the real stuff. And, I have a good time with this.
There you go.
So there's Clarice. Her take is she wants to be a musician. She wants to be a singer. Actually, the cutscene they show in Nights itself is really... She kind of is... It's like a precursor a little bit to American Idol, I guess, but just the idea of, like, there's 3 judges at the table. She's thinking, like, hey, she wants to sing, she wants to impress them, but she's not sure if they're gonna, like her. And she goes to sleep that night, and she goes into the weird dream realm, and she's thinking, like, she's gonna make a mistake. Her voice is gonna crack. People are gonna say, like, you're a horrible singer. Get out of here. We don't want you. And she is deathly afraid of that. And the Nightmare specifically are kind of putting those perspectives in her mind, like, playing into that doubt.
That's like the Salvador Dali kind of painting. Remember the time everything was dripping and...
Yeah. I would not be surprised if they were thinking that. As far as I believe I've heard Dali's name come up in discussions of this game. I think maybe Yujinaka and Natao Oshima, or Naoto Oshima, sorry. I just want to make sure I'm getting his name right. I think they might have mentioned him. I don't know. I'll take a look at that. But there's the light at the end of the tunnel. It does not kill her, thankfully. But she goes over there. She finds the help of Knights. And there they are in front of the tower. And as I said, this is going to be a bit of a preview when we get to that game. As I said, we'll get to that game. Because I feel like we should show the other Knights games off, as I mentioned, which are this one, Nights into Dreams, Journey to Dreams for the Wii, and also... Balan Wonderworld technically counts, even though it's not in the series. It just looks very similar. It's, but they definitely were going after Knights with that one. That's kind of why that was such a crushing disappointment and kind of a train wreck to some degree. Like, how insanely simplistic it is, but not in a way like this one. It was like, every button on the controller in that game does one action. You pick up 80 costumes, but a lot of the costumes do the same thing, and you lose certain actions like that. For example, jumping. They put jumping on, like, the right trigger, but it's on every button on the controller, but as soon as you get something else, you have, like, this whirlwind attack, but as soon as you get that, you can't jump anymore. So you might be screwed out of something if you lose one of your costume and 2-player. Apparently the game was not really tested well for 2 players, because only player 1 can use the costumes, and player 2, they're out of luck.
Oh boy.
Yeah, at some point we can take a look at that, because I do have it on Xbox One, which is the quote-unquote good version, but... that was... People were hoping with Balan Wonderworld, saying, it's going to be a Knights case. And you can kind of see some glimpses to that, but unfortunately it didn't turn out. I mean, that's why people love this game so much. This was doing a lot of stuff. And to mention, some of these things I'm talking about, the story does it mostly without words. It's really kind of more about, the suggestion. We also went into this on game you were in the chat for, Monty UK, Mad Maestro for PlayStation 2. Right. We have some of the cutscenes that were kind of going into that, as far as some of the characters down, like, hey, can I play an instrument? Can I do... Before we had Lunar the Clown at the... I was kind of glad I failed that when we did that, because, she's just slamming her face into the ground while there's a backstage brawl. I'd recommend the Mad Maestro playthrough if you haven't seen it, which ironically is the most watched stream of any of the ones I've done on the YouTube site. Shockingly. I would have thought Sonic the Hedgehog would be that one. it's like some of the Mega Man stuff we've done, some of the Kingdom Hearts stuff, any of these massive games I've covered, do you think, oh, they'd be watching it? No, they want to see Mad Maestro. And I love the fact that they wanted to see it. And they kind of apparently liked it. Yeah, there you go. Right after you, Knights. A couple of different poses of him. Oh, fine. Not him. Fine. In this game, technically, Knights is genderless. Right. In the Wii version, or the Wii sequel, Knights is a female character. Oh, so because they give every character voice. Specific in that nature. I mean, sort of was voice in this, but not massive. Just like some, like, or, like, what do you, for, like, when you get hit or something. Well, let's take a look at the Nighttopians. Yeah, these are them. Kind of like little babies, which I guess is kind of the intention of the, the raising case. Or kind of rescuing them from the Netmarans. They're going along.
They got a halo, too.
Yeah, little cherubs.
They do look like little
cherubs,
cherubs,
I mean,
right?
that's a good point. I mean, definitely
with
I would
elf
think that.
ears.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they probably were going for a lot of different things. Yeah,
Cone
so you
head.
can think of like, the Coneheads, this Conehead skit from Saturday Night Live, with Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a game based on that we could go to. Is it the closer we're gonna get to Saturday Night Live cases for video games is gonna be Wayne's World Super Nintendo, which is horrible, but I would be willing to play it just because, we can show it off and it gets the perspective of it, and actually it's also the one case I can have a game playing Foxy Lady and Bohemian Rhapsody without me getting a content strike because it sounds so insanely off. No one's gonna care. If it was on point, they're like, they're gonna be like, we're gonna report you out or shut your show down. But in that case, no, they're not gonna care. Besides, who else would have the guts to be playing that game? It's not good.
No.
But I beat it within an hour and a half of when I played it, actually about a year or so ago. So I can beat it legitimately. So at least there's that. So actually that means that I guess I kind of am on the hook to do it. But yeah, apparently they like cake. I think. And actually there is one item, as we're going to see later on, that kind of goes to perspectives of cake. Yeah, unlike Portal, the cake is not a lie here. And they're very happy to have it. Alright, so next up, we have the Knight's Goods. I'll show you this as far as the cake.
Okay.
This was a little different because what they do is they give you Knight's merchandising.
And that's like the Harlequin cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you hit I believe it's the Y button, or the X button, or one of the buttons. Okay, fine, hit the A button, we'll go back.
Oh, you can get all the little...
Yeah, that is a promotional cap they gave out for Knights, specifically, as well as this clock. When I look at this, I thought, that looks like a hockey puck. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I was thinking, wait a second, there's not really a hockey connection. I mean, maybe a basketball, like with Elliot, but I was like, that looked weird. And then I found you hit A, it tells you what they are. So okay, that's a clock.
I bet there's some value to this merchandise now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me tell you, I'll put an edit in the YouTube video of this. How much? I'll look up how much this stuff goes on eBay. I'll put in little comments and saying
fortune.
Yeah, because some of this stuff also is given away specifically for this. Now that looks like a bed, that one on the right.
Does.
It's not though. I thought wait, is that a bed? Which would have been amazing. That would be perfect.
What is this?
It would be perfect time for
It's
Knights.
stationary, right? Oh,
Yeah.
pillowcase.
Well, okay, up there on the left is a pillowcase, but also it's a memo pad. You're right.
Memo pad, right?
But I looked at it and I said, wouldn't that be a perfect mix as far as Knights? Like a bed of going into sleep with Knights would have been a perfect take. It was like, well, because that's the other thing. Like, says Knights is kind of a niche game to a certain extent in that, well, it wasn't a massive seller here. I guess I don't know if it didn't sell well in Japan, but something that was this very specific thing. So it's not like Sonic the Hedgehog where it was everywhere. So I guess these are kind of more, specific things for it, as well as like when they were showing this at E3 in 1996 before it came out, I guess when they had the booth set up over at Sega for that one, these are the shirts they had as well as the baseball cap. And also how they marketed this game with actually a telephone card promoting this game, because in Japan telephone cards are a big deal. As well as a postcard from Japan as far as the fact that this game's coming out in summer of 1996. Only t-shirts, which makes sense. Yeah, the Nightopia take with Knights there.
Yeah.
And the promotional take of the shirt. Mouse pads. So they were on sale for Japan. So we don't tend to use mouse pads now, depending on the kind of mouse you use. Or maybe you do just because you like the feel underneath it. But mouse pads used to be everywhere. They had them Knights. And of course plushies. So you have Knight, you have Elliot, you have Claris, you have the Nighttopian, and you have Riala, who's the one in red. Or actually, I guess, okay, all right. These were actually, okay, here's the thing. They are plushie dolls. But I know what these came out of. These came out of, I don't know. I've seen some of these in the U.S. actually. The Sega UFO crane machines.
Oh,
Sega
right.
makes a line of these things.
Oh, do they?
And in Japan, they put a lot of like toys for them. I remember the first time I saw one of those in the U.S. I believe I was on a cross-country trip in 2009. I saw one of these in like a service area in Texas somewhere. I was like, I'd never seen this in the wild. I said, oh my God, there's a Sega UFO machine. So it really made me excited just to be able to see that, hey, there's these things over here. I mean, fine, it's just a normal crane game normally, as far as like, moving the claw around. Any of you Toy Story fans out there, the claw.
And you never win anything either, it seems like.
You say that, but there's stuff I've won out.
Have you?
Of that. Actually, one of them was, I won a couple of Powerpuff Girls dolls that I don't know if I have around anymore, but actually I did win like a symbiote suit Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3, which I actually still have that. Actually, it's hanging at my house. But yeah, I was like, so yeah, there you have these stuffed dolls that were in those UFO machines. And when I also put this up, I'll also point to what those UFO machines look like. At first I thought these were plushies too, which I guess they kind of are, but they're more about keychains really. As far as how they look, you have Knights, you have Elliot, you have Claris, you have Riella, and you also have the Utopian. And then we are back to the clock and Harquin hat, as you mentioned. So as I said, it's kind of just... Here's the thing about this game, is that we kind of sort of played it already, but at the same time, you're kind of getting a look at everything that's here and all the extras. So that's really, I think, what Sega wanted to do with this, and it makes it really special. And we see also the bosses, which, by the way, we saw Gill Wing before, and we sort of saw Puffy. This is what Puffy normally looks like, as opposed to the Dr. Robotnik perspective. Puffy, by the way, is supposed to be a rabbit opera singer. That's the idea. Which, I mean, I guess makes some sense, because there's some takes with, like, stuff with opera. We saw it with Dell'arte, too, when we did the fighting showcase, when that was the case of Helena in the burning, opera house, and I just slammed her down in my bikini, as it was, because that's how Dell'arte often works. But, yeah, so, yeah, it's not like that game, though, where it's like Ayane, shoots, her in the head, which is what happened in that game. But in this one, it's like, yeah, Puffy is just out there wanting to cause trouble feasibly as far as the Nightmarans, and yeah, we have to just knock her down. We also have, Claws is the name. This guy's kind of a, bit of like a lizard creature. Yeah. Followed by, Gulpo, who's like this, he's the, like the shark creature. Yeah. I remember, I think, when I did the brief look at Knights HD last year, I think I fought this boss. I'll have to go back on that video just to confirm that, but, in case that's, Jackie. I don't know why the name Jackie. Yeah, no, it's Jackal. No, it's Jackal. It's not Jackie, it's Jackal. I remember now. I remember I failed at this boss, and it's not an easy boss. I think you only have to hit him once, but if you're not in line for that with, like, the puzzle of what you gotta do to hit him, you're gonna be in trouble. And there is Riella. Yeah, Riella is, that face right there. I'm not gonna say it haunts my nightmares, but when I was trying to do the unlocks on this, I'm picking the cards, and you see, like, you have to get a match of, like, 2 of the same one. Yeah. You see that Riella card's like, yeah, try again. So they have to go through the stage again in order to get another chance to, match out, and then they take the Riella card away, and they can do the matches, but then there might be another Riella card on there, so it's like, yeah, I was, like, hitting all those, like, 3 times in a row, was doing the unlock for this, which, not too bad. It didn't take me too long to unlock everything, about, 2 hours, I think. Wow. Not too bad. Not like the 8 it took me for Dead or Alive 2 when we played that. But, so you gotta have your hands full a little bit. As well as the main enemy of this. This is Wise Man the Wicked. We did see when we did Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed earlier this year. But yeah, there is him with the hands, with the eyes. Wow. Yeah, so yeah, I guess we're getting a little bit of a precursor to the other night's game. We're also seeing all the creatures and all the artwork, which goes back to what you're saying, Dolphin, which is the art of this.
Yeah, it's very creative.
Creative, and very polished as well.
They had a lot of people as designers, I saw on the credits of the last game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Credits. I think that's maybe what the appeal also with all the stuff of Sonic Teams really is, because it has this kind of creative, almost, wondrous take that, especially in the really good ones, you look at that and you think, like, you question how did anybody come up with this, but you're also kind of glad that they did. Putting just the happiness of the Nightopians. Yeah, this is them in Spring Valley, where they're just kind of hanging around with Knights. Knights will take care of them. Again, Knights, I guess, will take care of everybody around, so there you go. I know McQuaid has been minding the art. No problem. I get exactly, because, as I said, this is going to be a little bit of a different take for just looking at, Christmas Nights, because in a lot of ways it's pretty much looking at the stuff that's here, including the cinematic. So there's going to be another take to that, but there is a lot of art to show. Okay, this is a movie they showed at the Tokyo Toy Show in 1996. I believe this is before the game came out. And actually, we do have the preview of Dreams, Dreams, which I will be singing eventually in the karaoke. And we'll take on how they're selling this, sort of with the opening cutscene, which is a little compressed because it was before the game came out.
This
by
was
about
to
a
sell
couple
the
months.
game? Is this their marketing?
Yeah, when they took this to trade shows before it came out, this is how they're saying, like, yeah, we're going to show what Saturn's doing, what the new Sonic Team game is, and this is it. And just showing some stuff with the gameplay, also stuff with Elliot and Claris, like what they're doing. Because, yeah, you do have 3D movement with them before you go to the cake, or to, like, the transporting area. Even, like, avoiding, the trains and things. And you can easily walk around with them all like you want, the way we do with Sonic. But yeah, it does give a sense of that, and also gives that beautiful piece of music. It's like this great, I guess adult contemporary duet. It's almost like, I mean, if you're familiar with, I've had the time of my life out of Dirty Dancing. I'm trying to remember the name of the artists behind that song. Or some like great, kind of duet takes on that. The fact that they're putting that, effort, and I guess to the sense Star Power, as mentioned earlier, into a game like this. I'd say it was kind of really sort of at the forefront of that for a little bit. And this, by the way, will run as long as the song runs, which is about 4.5 minutes.
It was Bill Medley and Jennifer Lawrence.
Thank you very much. See, that's the other benefit, I guess, of having people on the show with me at once. I don't necessarily need to do the edit in, because either the chat will tell me or the guests I have on the program will tell me. So thank you very much for that, much UK, I appreciate it. I was like, I should have known that, I should have remembered that. No. But alas, I did not.
Everything we want.
You can see here, as mentioned here, this Dana Calitri.
The stars above light the way only for you.
Words on the screen, but they're singing.
I'm so glad I found the one.
Yeah, and
or are they?
They are. You're right. It is English, yes. That's true. Actually, here's the other thing, because as I mentioned early on, we're playing the Japanese version of this. This also came in the U.S., but the game is mostly in English. The only thing that's not are the cutscenes we saw at the beginning of the game when we finished the 2 stages. They basically had that in Japanese, but everything else is in English. Or as I mentioned with other cases, I mean, I played the Japanese version of Sonic R on this system, which is way cheaper than the US version. It's literally no different from the US version, except for the fact that it comes in a jewel case that Japan sold, but the entire game is in English. All the music, all the lyrics of the music, all the menus, even all the menus in this one are in English too. It's like, hey, you don't necessarily need to know that, and that's the interesting case, I guess, about a lot of games, to some degree on Saturn. I guess why importing is not necessarily a horrible thing as far as like, hey, am I going to be able to play this? Well, hey, if you have yourself an action replay cartridge or a modded system the way I do, you're all set that way. But then like, hey, reading dialogue.
I saw what looked like a chessboard with cards, like the ace of spades or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So you know how they have Jack on a card?
Yeah.
I wonder, right?
Well, what specifically? We had that sort of with Sonic Adventure, because the Knight's Pinball was card pinball. You collect the cards for the characters, but as far as like the idea of like what, the Joker perhaps?
Yeah, the Joker and the whole, it's just
I would think that might be a way to put it, honestly. They're going underneath the water.
Yes, look at the Joker. The Joker, yes.
I will take a shot, by the way, of what she's showing me on her phone, and I will upload that to the YouTube site for the purpose of the visual reference. Is that we're going to get as much as we can for the purpose of what you're seeing on the screen and what we're saying, but as I said, that's why I did the edits.
There's a bunch of Jokers, and they kind of have the outfit of the Harlequin or Knights, and then they were just showing the board that had like the spades and the clubs. So maybe it was taken from here. Interesting.
And I do know the idea with Riala and Knights. In fact, there's Riala right there. The idea that they're supposed to be like the yin yang of each other. They're basically the rivals. And I know that the Wii game, the sequel that came out on Journey to Dreams, goes into that even more than Knights itself does, or Knights 1. And this one, Riala is not much of a factor really, as far as the story is concerned. So why didn't Knights catch on? Good question. I would think maybe the Sega Saturn case, because let's talk about that. I know I've mentioned this a couple times, we can go into this again. When the Sega Saturn came out here, it was a stealth launch that the stores didn't even know about when Sega came up to the mic at the very first E3 of 1995 saying, it's in stores today, it's available for $400, but the actual, specific launch is in September. And then Sony came up to the microphone and said $299. And then when they realized that's $299 system compared with $399 for this one, that was the case. And I think also just the way the software's going, maybe the lack of Sonic, and just the fact that PlayStation took off. PlayStation tapped into that perspective of 3D, that idea that 3D gaming and 3D polygons is really the way of the future. Sega initially didn't design this with 3D in mind, and they kind of went back to kind of put that support in, sort of. Let's watch the other video. We'll go into this more, we talk about this more. So I think maybe with Knights, this by the way was, this was I think right before it was going to come out, them showing the selling of it. So I think maybe the perspective is the idea that it was a niche thing. It also came out, because Knights itself came out right when Super Mario 64 came out. It was right at the launch of the Nintendo 64, so maybe the thought was, these other systems seem like they have a future to them, or they have more things going, and with Sega, Sega didn't have much with Sonic, as we mentioned, or they were trying to figure that, and then Sonic Extreme fell in on itself. We've got 3 games, we didn't get that massive one that people were saying they wanted. So I'm wondering if perhaps maybe the abstract nature of Knights, because honestly, when I first saw Knights, I didn't know what it was, or what it was, the whole idea of it was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, just something like, I don't know if maybe they thought, how do we sell this? And maybe Japan it's easier, because Saturn did better in Japan. It lasted about 6.5 years, which here it was only about 3.5, 4. So, I think maybe that's the idea, but that's the other thing in perspective. Like, people wanted that Knight sequel for years. The Journey of Dreams. People were begging Sega, saying, please bring this back. They saw with Sonic Adventure the fact that there was the Knights thing with the pinball. They said, oh my god, this is amazing. We're so happy to see this. And then they re-released Knights on the PS2, and then later they were in Japan. And then we got that HD edition here. And in between that, we got the Wii game. People were begging to see that. So, this hit a chord with people for sure. I'm almost wondering, maybe just the thing with Saturn is why it didn't take off. And, if nothing else, I mentioned Balan Wonderworld again. Yes, did better than Balan Wonderworld, if you just take normal Knights itself on the back of that. And people still hold on. You would be surprised in some cases, my guests, this is in some ways one of the most beloved Sega games there is. And that's saying something with a lot of the big Sega franchises. And I'm a big Sega person. You cannot tell if you're not seeing the logoing there, like the Sega logo of this channel. Which is not saying I'm not touching other companies, but Sega's a special one for me. So I was like, yeah, I think that might be what it is. Like, the sales of the Saturn kind of took it down, but something that, as I mentioned when we first looked at it last year, when you talk about art stream games, you talk about just something totally unique that only games could really do. This is a game for that. And I think in that way, in some ways, I'm not going to say it doesn't necessarily matter that it didn't do well, but then again, the question of, hey, if it did better, would Knights be the kind of thing like Sonic the Hedgehog, where we'd be seeing this massive, explosion of games in the series? So, that might be what the reason is, but, still, it's something that I hold on to very strongly. And that's despite the fact that I didn't grow up playing this. I played it late, but, everything this is doing and just how unique it is, I just can't ignore that. Even the stuff that's kind of similar to it, even though you can say, like, oh, there's certain ties to this back to Knights. Actually, the final boss in Sonic Unleashed, when we get to that game, we'll show it. Plays a lot like Knights, interestingly enough. But even with that said, even with Balan Wonderworld, which doesn't play like Knights that much, there's not quite a lot like this. I think that's probably the best compliment I can pay this game, above all else. It's fun, it looks great, it sounds great, and all that, but there's nothing else quite like it. And same also with the Christmas part of it as well. And yeah, I haven't been to Twin City with the 100th anniversary of the place. Yeah, so we're getting some... I guess this isn't concept art. This is more just, I guess, the world art, including the tower right there, including, I guess, the floor plans of it. We're mentioning as far as Christmas. Sometimes I'll mention the idea of Die Hard, which of course we watched.
Definitely looks like Nakatomi Plaza.
A little bit. You could get the sense of like Hans Gruber coming in here, and you're like, feasibly planning to take it down. Yeah. See, talk about the weird mashups. I'm saying like this Rocky Horror Picture Show Nights mashup. How about the Die Hard Nights mashup of all things? I was like, yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's sort of like the floor plans as far as what it is. But then just seeing the nice outside and the nice sky to it. Oh yeah, okay, I hit the B button, by the way, to get out of that. And then only a couple more, and then we'll do the karaoke, and then we'll change the clock. And I can do that without the stream cutting, so don't worry about that. Alright, we saw that. Let's take a look at Puffy. Oh, fine, this one of Puffy, I think. Or more of the creatures. Alright, there is more Puffy in the level that we usually see Puffy in. As I said, we're going to give Nights the game, or Nights into Dreams, its due on the show. It may have not caught on as far as sales for potentially a lot of reasons, but I said, this show, we remembered it, and we definitely are going to give the ode to Nights. We're definitely giving the odes to it tonight to start, and yeah, we will definitely get into that eventually, so don't you worry about that. There's Gill Wing again. Yeah, Jackal once more. I know I said Jackie. I think I looked up and I saw the I instead of the L. But and there's Riala. There is the Wise Man, the Wicked. And yeah, okay, there is the Yin Yang. In fact, right there. This is the other take of, admiring the art here. It's like, there is Knights, taking care of, the Nightopians, and then Riala with the Nightmarans.
That's the Joker, the beneficial and then the bad. That's kind of the two sides of it.
I mean, I would think they probably were looking at the potential duality, really, of Knights and Riala with this, because especially in Journey to Dreams on the Wii, they really get into that as far as them being these sides of the coin, but the idea of okay, clearly Knights is the good character of these. So in that case, and I think it does change the story a bit, although to be fair, I haven't played as much of Journey to Dreams as this one or Christmas Nights or Nights itself. Oh, and there's back to Puffy again.
The operatic rabbit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, is it only in games did you see a case like that, but then again, you also kind of love the fact that, hey, there's a game out there that does that. And we only have about 5 more of these, and then it's karaoke time. Yeah, I think this is not the only Saturn game with a karaoke mode in it.
All right. I like that.
Yeah, these are actually some of the Nightmarans. This is a hollow. It's like a little bird. We've seen them.
Cute.
Go around. Yeah, cute, but yeah, if you hit them, you can get yourself hurt.
Okay.
Well, fine, especially with Kirkles. They spell it Kircles, or maybe circles. Still, it's said that way with the K, but I doubt it. But yeah, they can pinch you, and I've run into cases playing Knights itself that does that massively.
Oh, now that one doesn't look mean.
This is called Party, actually. Yeah, it's like, I guess it's like a little fish of sorts to a certain degree. For that, this one I had to look as far as what the name of this thing is. This is Gao. It's like a saber-toothed flying griffin beast. As well as Snips, who's this like rabbit. I mean, I guess thinking the Super Mario 64 thing, Mips the rabbit from that game.
Somebody has good imagination.
Yeah, as I said, that is
don't they?
yeah, that's Yuji Naka and Natao Oshima, who, as I mentioned, designed Sonic the Hedgehog, designed this game, did the character designs of Sonic the Hedgehog and this game, amongst other stuff. Yeah. Rystar and Choo-Choo Rocket as well, amongst other games, and Sound Amigo. Because yeah, Sound Amigo, another case like, hey, a Latin-themed music game with Samba with Amigo the monkey, going into these unbelievable color explosion cases, and it's just a terrific game, which I can show off by showing off the Sega music in it, either via the Dreamcast version or the Wii version, because I do have both of them. But that Wii version actually being developed by the people who made Borderlands, interesting enough. All right, and yeah, some of the stuff as far as like the promotional art of like what like the main image of Knights is, the moon with Knights in the silhouette, as well as there for Knights with the polygon look with Sonic Team Presents. And I guess this, which is a look at, to a certain extent, I guess a lot of merchandising, sort of.
Yeah, the figurines.
Yeah, little buttons kind of there as well.
Cool.
And then Knights doing the fly through. And then, yeah, this little one, which I guess is like, yeah, it's basically just a show of like a bunch of the Knights characters, including Riala, Puffy, a lot of the bosses as well. And then there's this picture, which I do like, which is, I guess, bringing it all together, because you have the Nightopians and the Nightmarans, you have Knights and Clarice and Elliot. And yeah, that nice silhouette there into the moon.
Nice.
Yeah, if nothing else here, I'm giving you the look to this as well, because it's like, hey, if you don't have Saturn, you don't have this game, so we're giving this the whole play. Giving it the whole look, everything is going to be Covered here, no stone unturned. And I think... Is this... Did we look at this one already?
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see. It'll load a little bit. The loading isn't bad, by the way, as far as this. It's not too bad. That.
No.
Okay, no, we didn't.
Like a snail.
Yeah, this is, Schleep. This is like a floating, sheep. Actually, we did see that character going around was trying to loop him. Whoa. As well as, Verils, I believe, is like a chameleon of sorts with the tongue. As well as, Cuddles. Oh, no. Mamus, I believe it is.
Wow.
And that's Cuddles. C-U-T-T-L-E-S. Like, as opposed to Cuddles.
Like cuddlefish.
Yeah, well, actually, that's right. Yeah, that's why I'm having the people on the show that I'm having on, because, like, hey, they're coming up with the ideas that I'm not really thinking about. Or I didn't think about that much. And this is, Cruel and Pole.
Ooh.
Which I guess is, like, probably some, you know, connection to that for something as well.
Right.
But yeah, definitely stuff nice with the vibrant colors. I think we have one more to that, and then I gotta get some water for the karaoke. Or more, I should say, because, like, yeah, I run water on this program as it is, because I won't shut the hell up. But I guess, apparently, chat, you like to hear that? You like the fact that I'm taking this, you know, going in deep, as if you're sitting here with me on the couch, like the guests I'm having. And as I mentioned, and I'll go into this at the end of the show tonight, we will definitely have more guests appearances coming on the show next year, and I'm looking forward to how next year's looking. We're taking a look at a lot of the levels, including Spring Valley, which we saw, but in spring, for the purpose of that, as well as that's the Soft Museum. Yeah, because we saw it in one of the cutscenes there. Bouncing off the bottom. And that's the Mystic Forest. The Stick Canyon. Oh yeah, the Stick Canyon. This was the Frozen Belt. It's a little bit of that with the Link Attack mode. As well as the Splash Garden. And then back to Spring Valley once more. Yeah, I'm hitting start just like to quit this out. I was like, I forgot I hit the B button. Alright, with that, I think I've covered everything. If I forgot something...
You gonna have karaoke now?
Well, we'll do that in a second, but I'm gonna own this just to make sure I didn't miss this. I'll look back on the video. If I missed something, I'll put an edit in the YouTube video as far as... Okay, I did miss this. Alright, so more... I think this is the last piece of art for, Knights. Yeah, Knights there as far as Spring Valley. This shot as far as a lot of the Nightmarins that Knights is going to take care of. As well as, yeah, there you go. There is Elliot and Claris in their real lives, with Knights as kind of the force that's brought them together.
Nice.
Going through Spring Valley. And we've seen Knights, as I mentioned, with the look of this game. We sort of had both of these last year, but also with Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which definitely gotten a lot of cases with that. Kind of like headdress look of it. And this, which looks like something else Sonic the Hedgehog, weirdly enough, and I guess a little bit like a gas pump at the top there, but like I guess it's like a mechanical sign or something. Alright. Let me just take a look as far as that. The question mark, as I mentioned, we'll see that when we go into the system setting thing. That's all set. You know, and I'll just take one last look. See, like, I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. And if this is the same as something else, I'll go back. Okay, we saw this already. Alright, now as I mentioned, we're doing karaoke on this. There is a karaoke mode, which is right up here with the singing Nightopian. Here's the deal, before I get into this. They're going to be playing Dreams Dreams, the version that we had hearing with Curtis King Jr. and Danny Calatri. And we heard in that one cutscene. They give you karaoke mode for this, and as I mentioned, this is not the only game on the Saturn that has a karaoke mode. I want to go on this first. You familiar with Daytona USA? Chat or my guests?
No.
A racing game of Sega's that has these vocalized music tracks to them. The Sega Saturn version, and also the port of it that came out on PS3 and 360 years later, it has a karaoke mode where you drive around as far as like driving the car, and on the screen it has like the lyrics of the song. So you're like singing like the Seaside Street Galaxy music of "I'm gonna fly sky high," and you can kind of just do that without the vocals into it. Although weird enough, there's like barely any lyrics in that. It's like it's a weird case. Like you go like multiple bars, there not being lyrics, or like 2 or 3 lines.
Oh wow.
Not so much with this one. Let's see how this goes.
So do they put karaoke on the screen?
They do. In fact, they're fitting because also there is Claire. She wants to be a musician. Actually, there's one thing I forgot we didn't show. That was the music test. I'll show that at the end.
Now, can we hear the music too? Is the music going to be louder?
Yeah, there you go. And they do set it to what we have over here. In a dream I could see you were not far away. Anytime, any place, I can see your face. You were that special one that I've been waiting for. And I hope you're looking for someone like me. And then they have the other part. I can hear you calling me in the night. Everything's so sweet in your eyes. I feel there's so much inside. And the chorus. In the night's dream delight, I want to see you standing there. In the night's dream delight, I found someone who really cares. In the night's dream delight, I want to see you smile again. In the night's dream delight, you're the one I've waited for. I do have also to switch it off for the verses here. In a dream we can do everything we want to. There's nowhere I'd rather be but here with you. The stars above light the way only for you and I. I'm so glad I found the one I've been looking for. Keep the dream of the one you're hoping for. Love can come through an open door. Just be strong and you're sure to find the one, the one, the one. Dream delight, I want to see you standing there. In the night's dream delight, I found someone who really cares. In the night's dream delight, I want to see you smile again. In the night's dream delight, you're the one I've waited for. And you have the saxophone solo, which is amazing. See, I told you I love the music in this game. It's just beautiful. The song, the music, the whole game, really. It kind of reflects that so beautifully. There's also a child version of this. Whoa, in the night, dream delight, delight. I want to see you standing there. And they do have the backup going on with that. In the night, dream delight, delight. I found someone who really cares. In the night, dream delight. I can see you smile again. In the night, dream delight, delight. You're the one I've waited for. The one, the one, the one. In the night, delight. You and me, we can be together forever. In the night, delight, baby. Yeah, it is good stuff. I don't remember all of the end of it, but yeah, it is pretty amazing to be hearing that.
Good. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. You see, I'm not even singing it. It's still going. But it was like, yeah, I've kind of stopped to that. But yeah, because it gets surprisingly technical at the end of this, as far as the vocalist. And as I said, because there's not a major music label to this, I can do this without violating copyright. Other stuff, I'd be doing that. We couldn't be listening to the Bruce Springsteen album that Curtis King Jr. was on. I'll tell you
I
that
don't
right
know
now.
why they didn't have this as a song that someone's saying.
Well, what do you mean?
You know, like made it a release or something.
Well, I mean,
Don't they do that sometimes with some of the music on?
that's true. I mean, actually, in Japan, there's like a CD soundtrack
sorry.
for this game. I mean, I guess you could import it here, but I mean, it was different, I guess, for the purpose of how that was
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
All right, before we go on to the stuff for the New Year's, or not the New Year's Eve, the April Fool's Day, I want to show the Melody Box. I forgot to show that part. Yeah, what you're able to do here, from what I gather, is when it loads, you can pretty much... I think you save the Nighttopians out of the stages, and you can play around with the music, I think. I think you hit the C button on them, and you can change the way the instrumentation's going, and then you hit start.
Wow.
Yeah, you're hearing like the Jack Frost chime, or chime, I should say. And I think the other thing is they have Enter Dream. When you do this, I believe what it does is it puts you in to like the Spring Valley case, and I think it applies the music to it, I think. But honestly, I kind of... Oh, you know, as long as I'm here, I'm going to show something else. Like, yeah, take my stuff. That's fine, guys. I'm going to show one other thing, since we're not going to get to Nights right away, or Nights into Dreams. I keep saying that. It was like, yeah, when we get to that game, it's like, yeah, like with when we were Sonic, if you don't go to the cake over there, yeah, you're running 3D with Claris or Elliot, and they do have a double jump, I believe, where... Yeah. Actually, I think they have a triple... Yeah, they have a triple jump, so yeah, just like Super Mario 64. So fitting it came out right at the same time, I guess. If you should go in there, yeah, okay, they're having a problem with the slopes. Fair enough, they're children.
She's got to follow an arrow again, just like Sonic. That's it.
Well, the arrow in this case is just pointing to the cake there, because,
Oh,
like,
okay.
my stuff got stolen, the tree's blocking the way, I'm bouncing that way.
Oh, it's just
I-
where the cake is.
Yeah, it's where the cake is, and then I can have Knights take me off. Actually, I don't know, let me see something. Can I even get this? You know, if I do the double jump right. Okay, alright, I can collect it. Although I guess it's not going to matter unless I get to the tree over there. I'm not going to try to do that for long, but I just want to see if, wait a minute, technically I can play it this way. I mean, technically you can play the game this way. In fact, I think I remember I saw this at a Toys R Us demo, actually right when it came out. I was actually, I think, waiting to play Super Mario 64, and there was a line for it. It's like, let me play this. I just was kind of walking around like this. This was actually my first experience with Knights in and of itself. Just walking around, not sure where I'm going, but just saying, like, let me just walk around, jump. I was, I guess, satisfied until years later I figured out. I was like, yeah, fine, alright, I'm getting to 2-Link. Alright, fine. Who knew that Claris had the moves that way? And same with Elliot. And the thing with the clocks, which, by the way, you know what? Okay, the clock hurts. You know, actually, no, I'm going to show that off when we do the Reala case. So, alright, here's what we're going to do. Hit start, we're going to do a quit out. And I'm going to just check one last thing to this. I'm going to give one last pass to the Christmas presents here. Yeah, which is all that. The Topian collection we did. Alright, so now I'm going to do is I'm going to get up. I'm going to open the disc tray. Don't worry, this is, alright. Alright, we went into the drive door. Or as far as, fine, the drive door's open, saying I'm going into the settings for the system. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the clock to, April 1st. It's not April 1st yet. You know, and it will say it's 2022 for the purpose of the same time. Fair enough. Yeah, because as I mentioned, depending on how you have the system clock set, the game will react differently. You won't necessarily see the Christmas stuff. So let me go close the tray. As I said, since I have the switch on the back of my Saturn, it will read the disc no problem for the Japanese side. If not, you have to buy an Action Replay Plus or a Game Shark device that goes in that cartridge slot. Since I have that case the other way, we're all set to start the application. Or restart, as is. So yeah, we're back in space like we did Sonic 3D Blast, because I used the Saturn to show that. Yeah, alright. And thankfully there's no feed cuts, it just looks like it's weird. It's like, hey, it's doing that thing. But alright. Game's the same as far as you're seeing that, with Sonic Team presenting it. You get that Sonic Team, just like with Sonic Adventure. Alright, fine. This is the main cutscene we'll see for Nights into Dreams itself, because if it's not Christmas, you basically are playing this as if it's like a demo of Nights into Dreams. So hey, we're kind of covering both with this one to a certain extent. But because we set this to April 1st for April Fool's Day. It's going to be a little different when we get into the game, but right now it's going to be the same. Yeah, this is the cutscene you see when you first turn the game on for Nights into Dreams. This beautiful bell music on the background. Yeah, there's like the silly side, like Knight's doing like the thing with the face, which I do love that shot. But of course, Knights has class for sure of like doing the bow. Alright, so let me show you how this is going to work for the date change. There's other cases like that. I think you can actually set it to like Halloween and things, and it'll show differently. Yeah, every other time you see this, it's Knight's short version, so it's like a demo. Now, what happens though on this day is, well, okay, I'm going to show two things. Okay, the load is going to be the same, so it's running the same file. And then... yeah, instead of Christmas Dream and Christmas Presents, we'll just have Dream and Presents. I'll show the presents briefly just to show it's going to be the same case, but I'll also show what I meant about that question mark. Yeah, right there, Christmas Nights. So basically you hit that, hit the A button on this, it reloads this into the Christmas Nights side of things that we just saw. We saw for the past couple hours, or hour and so, almost 2 hours. But anyway, since I said to this, I'm going to do this because I'm going to show one other thing. So, doing the dream, and you get to choose between Elliot and Claire. So, you know, let's show Elliot some love. We have not really played with him. Okay, we sort of have. We had to. Then we show Claire, so let's show Elliot. Here we are. We got the ideal going to Spring Valley. Oh, get this beautiful music here as you're in the Spring Valley. This remix of, I believe the track is Paternal Horn. So, this is what it looks like every other time of year, but see, where's Nights? Yeah, Nights isn't here. Ah, that's Riala. If you were playing on April Fool's Day,
You're playing with that one.
playing as Riala. So Riala plays the same way, but Riala's bigger and seems to be the evil one.
Ooh.
Although technically I'm still kind of destroying the Nightmarans, so it's like, hey, they're looking at him like, hey, you traitor. But there you go. So yeah,
Maybe that's why I think we're fools.
yeah. And given what we're talking about as far as the you know, the Joker concept of this, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what they have in their mind. I thank you again for providing that, because, as I said, maybe I don't know, maybe I did the wrong thing, maybe not, because here's the thing, I'm not saying that, no, this game doesn't have it, or no, it's not worthy of, you know, thinking, it's just that I never thought, yeah, put two together that way, but then again, it's kind of how that works, isn't it? Alright, so one thing I am going to do a little differently, I'm going to be a little mean to Elliot here, which is, I'm going to let the timer run out, just to show what happens when the time runs out, and I guess also then, in that case, it means that when we do Nights into Dreams, the full version as opposed to the short one, I'll make sure to be playing that to a better skill. But, alright, actually, there is one of the eggs there. Let me try and see if I can hatch it. If you see the Nighttopians there, and they just kind of are that way, but if you do the, I guess the star thing there, like the capture, the dream catch on them, you get them out. Or just hatch the eggs. Alright, so at least I get to show this, because the idea is that when you hatch these eggs, you do get... you can sort of raise them up, but as I said, it's very nebulous as far as what it is. But yeah, they're really happy, but they're surprised, like, yeah, why is Riala doing this? Riala should be causing trouble for us, but, yeah, we're making it work, as I mentioned, it's April Fool's Day. As far as how the show is, I mean, it's still Christmas Day, but yeah, we're making it work. Alright, so, say I get a little overzealous, I'm saying, like, no, I want to get more link points. That's really the risk rewards. Like, I want to get close to this, because you get double points off of everything you collect and all the links you build for the purpose of that. But say I say no, I don't get there in time. Yeah, Elliot gets knocked out. All of my ideas are scattered. The time is there. There is my clock there. I could feasibly pick them up again for what that's worth, but I get points, but my points are down to nothing. So as it go in there, that is instant F. So you don't want to do that. So I'll play the rest of it to get that way there, and we can also show the boss here, which is going to be Gill Wing again. But yeah, Gill Wing being fought by Riala. It's fitting because as I said, we did play as Riala when we did Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed earlier this year, and yeah, I think I just want to go back to this. I guess since this is going to be sort of, I guess, the end of the show, because I mean it's not that long a game. Number one, yeah, I got all those in as quickly as I could feasibly, and now since I'm going to hit 20, my bonus time starts quicker. Basically, I have more time to build up my points. But I think I want to go into this since the show is going to be wind down Surgery 3. Oh, okay, there is also wind you have to be careful of, and I said, when we play Nights into Dreams, and we will, do not worry about that, we will definitely go into that more. But as I said, it's going to be a taste of that, along with just what the Christmas Nights game is all about. But yeah, I guess now that I'm getting to the end of the year, and since this is going to be the last show that we have this year, I mean, think about it. I've done this show this year at least almost every week. There's a couple I had, time off for. I took time off for, and next week is going to be that way. Like, I'm not going to have a show on New Year's Day. We did the Christmas one for this one because it's like Christmas nights, Christmas Day has to happen. But I just love the experience that I've had with all these shows, all the games we played, all the games that you in the chat and in the audience and my guests here tonight have said, we want to see this. We want to have this discussion. We want to have this, input as far as saying, hey, we want to talk about what we think of the game we're watching, our experience with the game, if we've played it, even if we haven't played it, make an experience, by playing it together and going through it that way. We're saying like, hey, here's something about this you can look at and see that, hey, bring a different perspective. Like, yeah, the Harlequin, the Joker concept as far as all that. I mean, we're going deep. As I mentioned, we get in the guts of gaming on this program for that very reason. As I said, when I just started this because, I wanted to show games off, and I wasn't seeing a whole lot of people, as far as, physically and all that, I was saying, that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, honestly. Alright, there you go. There is the, yeah, you do get this different music, by the way, when you get the loop here when you're in normal case. After a few seconds, you get a nice 2, or I got a nice 2, which is like a 2. But I was like, yeah, I want more than that.
It's nice scenery you can make, too.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, yeah, this is the Spring Valley take. This is what the game normally looks like, really. But in that case, as I said, it's kind of giving the full picture. But I said, as I said, I didn't really even know what I wanted to do with the show, as far as just, what it's become, this kind of, casual hangout at the end of a week to celebrate a holiday in this case, of, games and, going into all the elements of it. And honestly, chat and my guests tonight, you made that happen. I did not come up with that idea. In some ways, a lot of the perspectives of this show were not my idea, except for the fact that I just wanted to show the games off. As I mentioned, we had Nikki in the chat last week with Kingdom Hearts Part 4. And basically for that, as I mentioned, she came up with the idea of what the name of the show is going to be. It should be called Super Old Game Saturday. I said, you're right. Thank you for giving the name of the show that way. In the case of people in the chat saying like, hey, I want to see certain games. Hey, I have this experience with them. Hey, I have a personal connection with them that is, I think, really hitting onto something very strong and very personal for a lot of people. And as I mentioned, a very brave thing for people to do on the case of that. Like, hey, are you going to necessarily feel comfortable with that, feel like, hey, it's worth talking about that in the concept of the game. But yeah, I welcome that. And I thank each and every one of you in the chat and on the show. Okay, I didn't fill out that thing, so I'm going to get a fail again, but it's fine. We'll give Rial the tough time. Oh yeah, you can also sort of land on top of it at least. So like, yeah, there's Elliot just kind of having the walk, coming off, or, wait a minute.
There you go.
Am I stuck? Can I not go through that?
Oh.
Alright, what happened? Why can't I go through that? Alright, I'm just getting knocked off the mountain. Alright, so, Elliot's not having a nice time. Alright. Oh. Well, one thing also, I can at least go into this music, because, yeah, I love the instrumentation. I love, like, all the horns going on, the piano, the ding 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 ding. It is just beautiful. And we'll get into this when we play this full game, because we're playing this full game. I am making that promise to you tonight is absolutely. Look, I said we're going to do it anyway, but yeah, we got to do it. Oh, let's see what he handles as far as the invisible wall with the, I guess, the purple water there. I guess it's probably good he doesn't get into that unless he gets poisoned or something. But as I mentioned, I said, I love what the show has become, and I said, I didn't even think that was going to be, oh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay, that's Night Over, but, okay, I didn't know Night Over could happen when you're out here. Usually you see this if you run out of time on a boss, but alright. Since I didn't go into the portal thing for that, I guess what happened then was that the clocks came and got me, and, yeah, I'm tossed back to the title screen.
Neat.
Alright, so, as I said, I want to thank everybody in the chat and both of my guests tonight. First, both of my guests for coming on the show tonight. I appreciate that so much. And of your input on the streams we've done this year. And of saying like, hey, I want to see a game. I have experiences. Here's what they are. Even if it's like, hey, you haven't played it, give me information. Or like, what is this game about? Or saying like, this looks like something. This is interesting. Create a discussion point.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
And
Thank you.
I appreciate that so much. And as I said, I can't thank everybody enough for this. This has become something I really take seriously and I really have had a great time doing. It's just a fun time for that, but I just really like the idea of the connections that I'm making for this, and the idea that people are saying, like, I like what this game is doing. Also, we get a replay, by the way, as far as that. So, yeah, there is
There it is.
reality there. But, yeah, I'm going to be in trouble with what's going on.
Well, I think it's great that you share your passion and your excitement and your knowledge with other people. I think that's so thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
And I learn a lot too.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, but at the same time, I also am one of those people. Look, I'm gonna be. I tend to consider myself a modest person, and also in some ways, like, look, I don't know. I'm not the expert on Knights. I'm not the expert on every game. And in some ways, that's okay. I mean, I'll come into stuff that's gonna be, you know, something that I don't have much familiarity. I mentioned next year, the Chris Jr., who I work with, is gonna be on the show for a couple things. We're gonna do Shadow Hearts on PlayStation 2. I know nothing about that game. That's his jurisdiction. He knows and loves it. I'm gonna be soaking up all the knowledge on that game. And as I said, when I know stuff about certain things, I'll look into stuff for it, take notes, so I get a sense of, like, what is this about? So I have some frame of reference, but that's where all of you guys and gals in the chat are joining me in the Super Old Game Saturday studio, if you want to put it that way. Will be there to that, and I do appreciate that. I mean, and this has been, as I said, quite a journey, fitting for Nights, and being the Christmas Nights takes us out for the Christmas holiday, and also for 2021. Here's my final thoughts on the game itself. I love this game. It is unlike anything really I can think of. The Christmas perspective of the Christmas side of things is infectious. It's perfect for the holiday. And as I said, if you haven't played this game, I would recommend it. If you can play it on Saturn, that's the best way. It's cheapest if you're going for it. For a Japanese copy, it's like $20. US version's like 120 plus, but in my Saturn standards, it's not too bad, but it is something like, yeah, people want to hold on to this game, and for good reasons. And if you just want to get a taste of what is Knights, just as like a brief, you know, primer before you, if you don't want to invest in a Saturn or you don't have one, there is that HD edition on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the PC, and PS2 in Japan. So in that case, you can get your Knights going on and see what the fuss is about. Because at Saturn was where this game was made, both of them, and that is where it is the best. All right, so with that, and with not too long a show tonight, only 2 hours about, I think that's going to close it up for Super Old Game Saturday, unless I guess have anything else they want to add, or anything else that they would like to go into. As we're seeing, you know, Riala taking on Gill Wing. Gill Wing saying, like, what the hell is this? He's like, oh, actually, no, okay, fine. I'm glad I showed the demo, because that is what you could do. He did what I was trying to do. Right. It was like, yeah, you get the thing going off. Part of his tail came off. Yeah, he killed him or is pretty close to killing him just for doing that. But yeah, he still runs into the hook there, or the spikes.
The colors are beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing I think. It goes to the
96, right? That's think about that.
Yeah. And yeah, as I said, it's mentioned sometimes, what do you look at a game for graphics for? Tech for sure, but also art direction and color, and Knights really does that. And a lot of the Sonic Team stuff tends to do that very well also. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time. Dolly Finn, Montague K, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, making this Christmas special of the Super Old Game Saturday show so special, and adding so much to it.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Had a great time.
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody in the chat.
It's been enjoyable.
Absolutely. And any game you'll want to see, let me know, either both of you or anyone in the chat. We will get to them. Or if you want to come in on the show, yeah, we can figure that too. All right, since I'm going to be off next week, I'm going to go through the schedule a little bit. We're going to cover what's going on for January. Okay, next week is New Year's Day. As I said, this is the last show of the year, and I will be off next week for the Super Old Game Saturday program, but I will be uploading this stream you're watching right now to the YouTube site with the edits, as is custom, as well as seeing, and if you haven't seen some of the streams we've done last year, we've done a lot of great ones. There's some good ones over there for your viewing enjoyment. As I said, while the show is off next week, but on January 8th, we're starting off 2022 with a bang. Protorov and I are going to be starting The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. I have the gold cartridge edition of the game with all the content that was removed from sort of later revisions, not too long after. But yeah, we're playing it that way. We're going the full experience. That'll be a once-a-month thing, the way like we do the RPGs. I think about 6 months we finish that one. It'll be once a month for that one. The week after that, on Elect vs. Request, and I thank you very much for all of your contributions to the show this year, all of your intrigue, everything you've brought in, and thank you very much for that, for you, for Nocturne, for everybody in the chat for this. But Nocturne's asking for Panzer Goon 2's Vi and Panzer Goon 1. Yeah, we can definitely make those happen, but before January on the 15th. I first wanted to see Final Fight 2 for the Super Nintendo from Capcom. We're going to make that happen. I'll be using the Wii U Virtual Console for that one. Because it's a perfect port, because it costs way less than the other Final Fight, or the Super Nintendo cartridge. And I have 3 in Mighty Final Fight as well for later down the road for that franchise. And then the week after that, we're going back to another Sega game. We're going to Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis, developed by Treasure, a game we've mentioned a lot. Chad has said we want to see this. I've said I want to show this. I said we're going to show this. We're going to show it, and that is going to be a great 2D shooting game. Kind of in the Contra vibe, and at some point we'll do Contra Hardcore as well, because I know I pretty want to see that. But Gunstar Heroes, I know we wanted to see. We're going to do that, the first game of Treasure, made up of ex-Konami developers. And then at the end of the month will be Part 5 of Kingdom Hearts, where we're going to be doing the cleanup. I'm going to be doing the a lot of the optional boss battles, actually probably all of them, including Sephiroth. I got some help in some ways going on with the fact I'm doing a lot of level ups, and people who said to me, quote, use Strike Raid and pull out elixirs for that. We will do that. We will take Sephiroth down. We'll get stuff ready before we finish the game in February, and then we get into February, and I got some other projects going on for that month, along with Zelda and the RPG, or the end of Kingdom Hearts as it is. So, and I will reveal those a little more as we go down into January. Yeah, but I think with that, that's going to close the show for tonight and for 2021. Thank you so much for watching Super Old Game Saturday, jumping into the chat, adding so much to it, making it this very special thing. Thank you again to Dolly Finn and Montague K for joining me tonight, and for everything you've added tonight, and also on the streams you've been in the chat for. So thank you very much for that. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a wonderful New Year. And I will see you in 2022 on January 8th with Part 1 of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Till then, thank you again for everything. Have a wonderful holiday, a Happy New Year. Keep being awesome, and I'll see you in 2022.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.